All right, here we are, folks. Welcome in. It is High Noon with me, Pugs Moran. High Noon. We do this every Monday through Friday at noon. We go over all the trending topics, all the things that people are talking about, anything that you need to be briefed on, everything that you need to be coached up about, anything that people might be asking you later on. Hey, did you hear about? And you can say, yeah, I sure did, because I was listening to High Noon and they went through all of that shit. And now you're also going to get an incredibly biased take on it, because that's what we do. I mean, we're going to tell you what's trending, and then we're going to tell you what we think. And by the we, I mean my partner in crime here in this little project. His name, allergies. They come and they go. Sorry. His name is E. Emil, how are you, buddy?
I'm good.
We're
both hatless today, I see.
Yeah. I am only hatless because I don't know where my hat is. I in the early days of this, I was not wearing a hat because I noticed that there was a really bad glare off of this light that we use. And remember, now what, you're hat shaming me now? All of a sudden I'm like lesser than.
You said you couldn't find yours. I saw one sitting close by me here, so I just put it on.
Dude, there is a hat, and this will only be something that Emil will get. There is a hat just out of my reach, but if I had the arm length of that cornerback we saw on the Pee Wee football game the other day,
my gosh,
I could reach it and I could grab it. Now look, we are not arm length shaming some child. All we're saying is there was a young athlete that was back there at the middle school football game that we went to on the opposing team. And the first thing I said when I looked at that kid, I said, get him in a boxing gym. Get him in a boxing gym because he's got reach. He's going to have reach advantage over everybody that he fights. His arms were down to his kneecaps.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like was it the guy, the figure four Stretch
Armstrong.
Yes, Stretch Armstrong.
And I'm not saying he looked like a mutant or he looked like a freak. He looked like a young kid who the good Lord has bestowed upon him some potential athletic abilities that he needs to he could be a pitcher with that. I mean, you'd never see the ball. His arms are so long.
It looks like they sewed minute Bowles arms on him.
Yeah. And look, I really do hope that no other kids in his grade have already, noticed that. And, because kids can be mean, but he'll punch him. He'll punch him from 6 feet away. He'll get him. He'll just pap. What were you saying?
No, I mean, that's true. I think it's a cool thing. I don't think kids would be making fun of him. I mean, I think that wingspan, wow.
Adam Reyna, I appreciate the kindness. He says Moby is replacing Pugs today. Chubby Moby. Yeah, maybe. Fat Moby. Something like that.
Or the Six Flags guy.
No, I don't look like Six Flags guy. Thanks. I don't look like... What? Remember the Six Flags guy? Remember that? That was a very disturbing choice that an advertising made for that guy. For those of you who don't remember the Six Flag guy, let me set the scene on these commercials that ran nationwide for Six Flags. So a bus would pull up in your neighborhood, and the most obvious looking pedophile ever would get out of the bus, start dancing in what could only be described as age inappropriate dance moves for this man, which you would have to think would be part of the grooming process. And then all the kids in the neighborhood would get on this strange, weird, pedophile-looking guys. And he looked like me if I was really skinny and like maybe 20 years older, because he was like an older guy, right?
And you had a tux on.
And I had a tux. Yes, he's wearing a tux, because this is going to be a formal molestation. This is going to be fancy. That was a terrible branding idea for Six Flags. And they dropped it after it became kind of a national joke where everybody was like, my kid ain't getting on that bus. That dude pulls up in my neighborhood. My kid ain't getting on that bus.
What was like the trend with the tux, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, that bright red tie? Like, where did that come from?
Well, the red tie is Donald Trump. That was always one of his brand.
Well, but it was the bow tie, though.
The
It was
power
like,
tie.
yeah.
Yeah. The bow tie. I don't know. Was it a trend or was that just how the Six Flag guy was dressed?
I don't know if he just started it trending, but it was like for a while then you started to see people would go out in tuxes and then they'd have that red bow tie.
Okay. I didn't see it. I don't go many places where people wear tuxes. So, talking to the wrong crowd on that one.
Yeah. All right.
Do you own a tuxedo?
I do.
Oh, Jesus. I was like, please say no, please say no, please say no. You own a tuxedo. So if you had to go to a formal event, you wouldn't have to go down to Tuxedo Rental International and then get some funky tuxedo that somebody else wore. You have a tailored tuxedo because that's the thing. That's why rich dudes buy tuxedos, because they're timeless. And when you wear black tie, you're going to what you get.
No, I have a tuxedo, and the reason I have them is because a lot of times I will end up as an artist going to these galas that are black tie.
Yeah, I get it.
And so instead of having to go through the whole pain in the ass, get measured, go pick up the tux, put it on, make sure you don't get it all, soiled the night you wear it. Then you got to take it back the next day. Then you got to go get another one. I just was like,
All right, so I got a question about your tuxedo, because I just said that, dudes who attend these kinds of things, they'll buy a tuxedo and it'll sit in their, the closet, and they'll pull it out whenever they have to go to something fancy. But if a friend of yours got married and you were in the groom's party, you would still have to go rent a tuxedo that matched up with their tuxedos, right? Or would you just wear yours and, color coordinate the bow tie and cummerbund?
No, I would match up, like the uniform of all.
So you would still have to go rent that tuxedo and be part of the. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, it's really just for non-coordinated black tie events where you've
if you get invited to something that's black tie, or a lot of these philanthropic things, where the places that you end up going to meet people that have got money that buy art, you got to wear a tux.
Yeah, I got you. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to run through all of the things that are trending today on multiple. I've got a local one here that trends in Texas. We use Twitter, we use Facebook, we use Reddit, we use Google, we use all of that stuff. And I pick out the ones that seem to be trending across all platforms. That's sort of what. So if you're like, well, I'm looking at Facebook trends and you didn't talk about this pumpkin pie recipe, well, that's because I try to do the stuff that is, trending obviously on all the platforms. The bigger stories will do that. So that's what I'm trying to do. So if I miss stuff, hey, I'm sorry. But there's always a chat room there. Whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, there's a way to chime in. If I'm missing something and you really need to talk about it, just jump on in with that. And last night, or yesterday afternoon, I appreciate it. I look at you folks, especially the ones in the chat room. Now, I know that we only see the people in the chat room who are commenting, and we only see the people, like there are other people who are just lurking and listening and all of that, and they're not commenting. So, but you people in the chat room, you people who are actively participating, I need you guys to act as our de facto producers. Yesterday, you guys helped so much. The minute Norm Macdonald passed away, God rest his soul, the minute Norm Macdonald passed away, someone in the chat room posted up with that. They had it immediately. And in order, so I saw it there and went, boop, it said Norm Macdonald just died. And I went, what? And I immediately go to Norm Macdonald's Wikipedia page. And Wikipedia did not have his death yet. And that's a big news. That's how, for me, because that's like the contest. I like to know did I get it before Wikipedia? Because Wikipedia gets changed instantly. The minute a story like that is confirmed, it's obviously changed now because somebody got to Wikipedia in the last 12 hours. But typically it's like within the first 5 minutes of something actually being confirmed as passing away, that somebody of the millions and millions of people who use Wikipedia will, boom, they'll get in there and they'll update it. Someone in the chat room did that yesterday, and boy, do I appreciate that. And that's why I say, you guys, if we're in here talking about stuff, and yes, Kimberly, Wikipedia is gospel for the most part. for the most part. There have been things that have pertained to people I know personally or incidents that I have been involved in personally that I've read about on Wikipedia. They get some things wrong. They get some things wrong. Like I was reading something about some I don't know what it was. There was a really bad flood in Chicago where the underground river broke through the wall, and it was a serious disaster in the city of Chicago, except you couldn't see it because it was all underground. We have a road called Lower Wacker Drive, which literally runs in the river. It's just you're like in a tube that runs through the river.
Lower Wacker versus Upper Wacker?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Upper Wacker is above the river, and then Lower Wacker is a way to cut through. And you go, if you saw the Blues Brothers, it was that underground area where all the police cars piled up where they were racing. Anyway, but there are these walls that on the other side of the walls is a raging river, the Chicago River, and those walls cracked. And water started rushing in, and the entirety of downtown Chicago was completely flooded out. I mean, billions and billions and billions of dollars worth of damage. All of the buildings. I mean, if you looked from above, you would see that, it doesn't look like anything. It just looks like a ghost town. It looks like nobody, because there was no water on the streets or anything. It was all underground. So the basements of every building was flooded. All the electrical was out. It was a huge disaster. And I was reading something about that recently on Wikipedia because I was in that. I was actually working downtown when that happened, and it was wrong. There was like something that was just wrong about it. So don't 100% trust Wikipedia all the time, Kimberly. But for roundabout, frame of reference stuff, Wikipedia is great. You get an idea who somebody is. So, what were we just talking? Oh yeah, Norm Macdonald. You people in the chat room, I rely on you, especially during this part of the day when E and I are talking about something. If something breaks, dude, boom, put it up as soon. Don't try and catfish me though. That'll just get nuts. You know what I mean? Like if they put something that's not true, and I'm like, yeah, that's interesting, Emil. Hold on, let me go something real quick, and then it doesn't come. Don't do that. Come on, we're all a team here, people. This is a team. There's nothing adversarial about what's going on here. We're all just talking about the world. That's it.
Why you got to think people would do something like that?
Because I've worked in radio since 1992, and I've been answering phones, and I was a producer during the initial phase of the bababooey phase. I mean, I know what people who do and pay attention to this kind of entertainment are up to. They're always trying to.
Well, truth be told, when I saw that it said R.I.P. Norm Macdonald, I went to Wikipedia, and it still had him as is, not was.
I know. Yeah.
And so I was questioning it because we were ahead of Wikipedia. And normally when you see these catfish, fake stories on people dying, first place I go is to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So it was interesting that we had got ahead of them, because normally in most times I'm checking a death, we're not.
Yeah, because Wikipedia is really, I was going to say really good about that, but is that good? They're efficient. Wikipedia is very efficient with updating there who's alive and who's not. I'm having a problem with my TV here. And I like to have the TV on next to me. I don't know why I'm not getting a good signal.
You feel like you're in touch with what's happening in the world when the TV's on?
Yeah. Wikipedia is good for people, but for stories in general, just use Google and then click on news really quick. And if there's at least one or two stories that are backing up whatever's being claimed by someone, then you can pretty much go with it. Hold on a second. I got to try and plug something in. I'm not going to be able to reach it.
You got me turning my TV on now.
I need that long-armed 13-year-old. I need him to get up here as an intern. Boy, he would be a handy intern. Okay, so there's a whole bunch of stuff going. Here's what we're going to do today. We'll quickly go through a couple of the things that we don't have a whole lot to talk about. And then there are two big stories that I thought we could dig our teeth into. Rolling Stone, for the first time, and I believe they do it every 20 years or something, Rolling Stone has released today the 500 best songs of all time. No, we ain't going through all 500. Or we could, because nobody tells us when we need to be off the air. But in these kind of situations, what we'll do is I'll read you the list of the 500 through 490. So we'll go through the back 10, and then we'll talk about the top 10. And that'll be easy. And I want to see your knowledge. I want to see. I was thinking about this morning while I was putting this list together. We can't play any of the music. We can't. So the hope is that all of the song titles will just be recognizable enough to people. And you'd think they would be, right? The 500 greatest songs of all time. You would have to, I mean, there's like thousands and thousands and thousands of songs. These are the top 500. So even 500 is a banger. You know, even 500 is going to be great, and you should know it.
But anything like in the last 2 years that's on that list, I think you're rushing it.
I do not know that there is anything that recent, but there's real recent stuff. There's this list, they said this list is completely different, almost 250 something different songs are in this list of the top 500.
And what gets it on the list? Record sales or downloads?
No, these are music critics. This is a consortium of recognized music critics and artists. So these are all the people who create the music themselves and the critics and music writers and that kind of thing. Rolling Stone does it. This takes years and years for Rolling Stone to do this story. That's why they don't do it every year. They do it like over the course of a decade. But this particular list has 250 something songs that did not appear on the previous list, which maybe was 2001 if they're doing it every 20 years. I don't know. And the reason for that is, and this was interesting, because they readily acknowledged that in 2001, they did not consider hip hop to be in the same league as the Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter, you know, or the Beatles' Strawberry Fields. So this new list, this is it's going to anger some of the people. It's a very diverse list. I mean, it really is. So we're going to go through the bottom 10, and we're going to see what we know and what we think of these songs, and then we'll go through the top 10. But I will tell you this. The number one song this time around is not one that if I gave you 100 guesses, you would not come up with this song. So, yeah. It ain't Sgt. Pepper. It ain't Smells Like Teen Spirit. It ain't Gimme Shelter. It ain't the three that are always at the top of it. You know, it's not.
So if there were 500, however many years ago, and there's now 250
250 new. So 250, half the list has been removed from the last.
And that's what I'm saying. So there's 250 new songs that have removed the 500. What do you do as the band that you used to be able to say, "Oh, I've got one of the top 500 songs"? You just get angry. You get angry and you argue. Oh no, that's not the case.
Yeah, no, I think that you keep the 2001, or maybe it was 2005, maybe it's 15. I don't know. You keep the original list because you have the page in the magazine that features your band and your song framed in your office. You keep that one up forever and just disavow any further lists. I'm on the Rolling Stone top 500. Who's going to update it?
If it's a legit list, then everybody in the previous list from 251 to 500 should be off.
Look, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you about a half hour to formulate that because we're not going to go into that just yet. But when we get into it, hold that thought and keep that rage and keep those questions coming. As I said, we're going to, what's that?
I don't like this list stuff. It's just a way to sell magazines, get people to read articles.
Yes. Okay. You don't like it. However, I love it, because it's nothing but content for us to freeball on. So get off my ass, man. This is like half the show handed to me today by Rolling Stone. Jesus Louises. All right, and we're also going to get into another list that came out today, another big list. And, just as the music industry is all a Twitter, literally, over the Rolling Stone list, Time Magazine put out their Time 100. The 100 most influential people on the face of the earth. We'll go through some of those. Although Time, they do their man of the year, person of the year. Excuse me, I'm a middle-aged white man. I'm trying to adapt to the new world. I'm not resisting. I'm just struggling with the vernacular. Time Magazine now has a person of the year. And that's always like the award, the number one. This list does not have a number one. This list is just 100 people in a couple of different categories. pioneers, icons, artists, stuff like that. And they, because apparently we don't list people, we don't make people competitive for their contributions to society, which is probably a good thing. I don't know, man. Is Adam Reyna? Hold on. Adam Reyna is ruining the. Fine, Adam. Please don't. Adam's already on the Rolling Stone list, and he's going through it, and he's commenting about it. What the hell, man?
You just asked the chat room to be on top of things.
Other things I don't know about. Not
you
things.
You got a set of rules that people can't understand. I can't even understand them. I started commenting.
You don't understand that if something big happens and I haven't mentioned it yet, then you can. I just spent 10 minutes talking about the Rolling Stone list. That's not something I need my little dogged producers in the chat room to be focused on.
I just started thinking about, okay, if 250 people are on the list that you're talking about that we're not supposed to talk about, then 251 to 400 shouldn't be on there.
Serenity now.
Okay, Phoebe.
All right, so we'll get into both those lists at some point today. I wanted to. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. El Polo Loco is trending. Dutch Brothers Coffee is trending. And now this is one I wanted to talk with you about, and then I stumbled upon the second list, so we may not get to it. But have you ever heard of Dutch Brothers Coffee?
No. Has it got windmill on the can?
Me neither. No, I have no idea. Apparently it's a coffee vendor, like a competitor to Starbucks. That this is where you and I pretend we don't know.
Have you ever heard of Dutch oven pizza?
No. No. That does not sound appetizing. Knowing what
it's a pizza fart.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I thought that was a real bit. That would be a fun. That is not going to be the name of our pizza restaurant. We're not going to call it Dutch oven pizza. We are not. Okay. So what? That was funny, but what? I lost my train of thought.
Well, you're doing the common polo for chicken, and it's pollo.
Pollo. Well, thank you, Emily Mulcahy. Here in Texas, I wouldn't expect a fine Irish lass named Mulcahy to correct my pronunciation. It's pollo, right?
Yeah, pollo.
Yeah. Do you remember, you probably don't remember this, but one of the funniest things that I remember from Kelly and I on Live 105.3 back in the day was Tony Casillas was Tony Casillas, a great football player, college football Hall of Famer, Dallas Cowboy, Atlanta Falcon. Tony was a regular on our show. I don't know what he used to do. I think one year he did picks with Kelly for, her what do we practical pick segment. And he cut a promo for whoever was sponsoring him. Now, Tony Casillas, right? So what ethnicity is Tony?
Hispanic.
He has L's in his last name, right? Casillas, but you don't pronounce the L's, right?
Right.
Okay. So there we go. We've set the foundation for the story. Tony did a live read for a tortilla company that was sponsoring him. And in the live read, he pronounced them as tortillas. Tony Casillas pronounced tortillas. Even though his own name has silent L's, and he's ethnic. He's Hispanic.
Yeah, well,
and they left it. It shouldn't, but it did. I mean, I just always thought that was funny. That's a funny guy. That's a guy. You know what? I haven't seen him in probably 15 years, but if I ran into that guy is fun.
Yep. We had him a couple times on the weekend. I don't remember fun, how, man. But he's a lot of fun.
Yeah. I once ran into him just spontaneously. We were out at some club, it was like one of these nicer new clubs up there off 121 in the Frisco area. And I was walking through the crowd and the dance floor was crowded. When you need to get to the bar and you just walked in, you got to maybe traverse the dance floor a little bit. And we were walking through the dance floor, and all we saw was this gigantic head towering above the rest of the dance floor. And he was 100% Tony Manero from Saturday. He was dancing, boy. He was going hard. Like, not even like, okay, I'm with this girl and she wants to dance, so I'm going to go out there and fake it. No, he was out there seemingly with 15 girls because they were all around him and he was just going for it.
Do you remember when I had Greg Hill as my co-host?
Yeah, man. I love Greg.
And Greg was a lot of fun. And so,
even though he was a Detroit Tiger or a Detroit Lion,
no, he was a Kansas City Chief.
He was a Lion first, though.
Well, he might have got traded. No, he was not. He was a Kansas City Chief. He was a Kansas City Chief.
Okay, I thought he was a Lion.
And so him and Tony were in the same.
He was Chief, but
yeah, him and Tony were in the same draft, and Tony went number 1, and Greg went number 15. And so Greg was mad because he had to carry the ball all throughout the game, and then they would take him out to give Marcus Allen the ball at the goal line.
Well, because this is when Marcus Allen's retirement tour, right?
Right. He was doing the retirement tour. And so I remember we were sitting there that day, and Tony said, Greg, was giving Tony heck about being the number 1 draft choice because I think that year Bo Jackson decided, I don't know. It was weird how it all worked out, but that Tony ended up number 1. And so he goes, hey, Greg, he goes, if you think you should have went higher, how come you didn't score to game 10? And that just sent Greg like to the moon. Marcus Allen was taking all my touchdowns. And it was interesting. And then Tony just kept riding him all show. It was funny. Yeah.
Do you know that Greg Hill is responsible for the single greatest compliment I ever received? It was like one of those compliments where it goes straight to your soul because it's so satisfying to have heard it. We were at dodgeball. You remember when the team of pro football players came out to play dodgeball? I think
that was probably the most fun that we've had in radio was dodgeball.
So who's my favorite college football team?
Notre Dame.
All right. Do you happen to know who my favorite Notre Dame player besides Joe Montana is of all time?
Yeah. Te'o.
Manti Te'o, no. He was a tremendous linebacker, but not even my favorite.
You defended him when he got catfished so much. I was on your case.
Well, what's to defend? He's a nice kid. He was a bit of a rube. He was
all right. So Rudy.
Okay. No. Oh, I hadn't considered Rudy, but yeah, Rudy Rudiger is up there too. No, it's Rocket Ismail. Rocket Ismail is like when I was in my prime loving Notre Dame. It was Tony Rice and Rocket Ismail and Tim Brown and all these guys. That was my team. That was the team that the national champion team. That was the team that I was really dug into. I was like 16, 17, so it was big for me. So Rocket was out there. Rocket and Quadri, I think, at one point came out to both his brother Quadri Ismail as well. But Rocket's the name. And he had brought this team of pro football, and it was packed, if you remember how dodgeball was.
Oh, sure.
So when we would arrive, you had to move through the parking lot, and then you had to walk in, and there were just people all around the courts. And I'm walking through the courts, and I see the team of NFL players. And, I'm always famous for being the guy that doesn't like to go backstage at concerts. I'm uncomfortable with that. So I'm intimidated. I'm flat out intimidated by a lot of people, especially people that I don't think they want to hear from me. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to talk to them. But Greg, I was comfortable with. And Greg was talking to a guy. And I'm walking through, and Greg's like, hey, Pugs, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, Greg, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, man. He's like, oh, yeah. Here, let me introduce you to my guys. This is Marcellus Wiley. Wasn't it Marcellus Wiley that was out there, too?
Yeah, I think
he's like, Marcellus Wiley. And
Marcellus Bennett.
Yeah, Bennett. He's like, oh, he's naming the names. And he's like, standing right in front of him, the guy he was talking to when I walked up, he goes, this is Rocket Ismail. And I'm like, Rocket, how are you, man? Go Irish. And he's like, yeah. And he was like really nice and all that stuff. And then I turned to walk away because I had duties, right? I had things I had to check in. Kelly had already been there for a half hour. She's on the mic. I was probably in the parking lot getting high or something. I don't know. So I walk past, I exit the conversation. I'm like, nice to meet you. And I'm shook because it's Rocket, right? And I'm processing this. I'm like, holy crap, I have an opportunity to hang out with Rocket Ismail tonight. This is so awesome. This is the greatest thing. And as I'm walking away, Greg Hill leans in and says to Rocket Ismail, yo, man, that guy is funny. I was like, Rocket Ishmael was just told that I'm funny. I'm like, that just, it really, look, a lot of very mediocre things have occurred to me in my life, but that was the greatest. I floated on air for the next couple of weeks, knowing that even if it wasn't true, Rocket Ishmael believed that I was funny because he had been told that. Don't know if that means anything to Rocket. Don't even know if he has a sense of humor, but it meant a lot to me. Emily Mulcahy, who I dubbed a fine Irish lass, has responded with, "Bitch, I'm German, French, and Mexican. Mulcahy is my married name."
I love the fact that the chat room's chiming in, pointing out that Ed is not on top of things.
Why not? Ed's on top of everything.
Dutch Oven Pizza is still .com is still available.
That's funny. That's good.
That's one of the best ones today.
Because Ed, our boss, our chief operating officer here at Radio Misfits, is known for immediately grabbing all .coms. He'll text us in a few minutes. Got it. Because he doesn't care.
It's at least good for a fake ad. We could run in place when we need a break.
Yeah. All right. So let's run through a couple of things that are trending. You know what? And there is something that I can't play.
Half the things we pick out, we can't play.
Yeah. Well, the videos I think are all right. I haven't received any notice that anything we played last night got us flagged. So that's good. Because remember last night with the Norm stuff, I was just doing the audio. Maybe in some cases, that's how we're going to have to do it. There was something I wanted to play. And because you and I we're fathers of boys. Are you happy that your father, I am so relieved that I only have a boy. There was a time in my life where I thought maybe I'd like a boy and a girl, but I don't know how good I would be with a girl. So I'm glad I have a boy because I feel that I have life experience and knowledge to share with a boy that could actually be constructive because I've made every mistake known under the sun. I was raised without a father. My mother did her best job. My mother did a bang up job. But, my grandfather was, for the most part, my male paternal influence in my life. And he did a wonderful job too. But day in and day out, the heavy lifting, I didn't really have a dad. You know what I mean? So I'm happy that I have a boy. And there is a viral video that is going around that I tried to show, but I can't show it. I don't know, for some reason it won't come up. It's called Teen Angst. Have you seen this?
I have not.
Okay. So they're out to dinner. They're at a Famous Dave's restaurant. Do we know what Famous Dave's is here in Texas? Do you know what Famous Dave's is, being from Buffalo?
No, I know. I've heard of a Double Dave's Pizza, but I haven't heard of a Famous Dave's.
Well, Famous Dave's is ribs in their southern Ohio. I want to say Cincinnati, right there on the Cincinnati-Kentucky border. It's a rib joint, and it's all over the Midwest. I don't particularly like it, but whatever. Look, I've lived in Texas for the better part of 20 years, and I've had real barbecue, so I don't need Cincinnati Famous Dave's barbecue to tell me it's good. It's all right. So this family is out at a Famous Dave's, and the camera pans to what looks to be like a 13-year-old girl, and she's wearing a Famous Dave's hat. They have, like Burger King used to have the crowns. She's got a Famous Dave's hat on, and she just looks absolutely miserable. Like her face is just... And mom is taking these pictures, and then it pans to maybe a 14-year-old teen girl also wearing the crown. This one's a little bit cocked, and she is just on her phone like this. Like just seething, like really angry. And then the camera pans to dad, and dad is like, like, this is my life. These are who I'm stuck with. And man, I've had the talk with my son because my son is now hanging out with girls of this age. And my theory is there is nothing meaner in God's organic earth than a 13-year-old girl. They are mean, especially if you're a 13-year-old boy. We've heard of Mean Girls, and we've seen all the shows and everything. But girls at that age are so mean. And I wanted to show the video because the video just makes me laugh even thinking about it, but we can't. And that's going to lead into another big topic that we're going to get into here, which is the Larry Nassar situation, which is happening right now in Washington, D.C., which you and I were watching earlier this morning.
Wow. I'm still flabbergasted. I just can't believe it.
Yeah. Now, if you don't know who Larry Nassar is, he was the U.S. Olympic team gymnastics doctor who's been convicted because he did it. I'm not going to play this alleged game. He molested. They think. I mean, I had to refresh my knowledge of Larry Nassar, so I looked up all the crimes and all that. I mean, we are talking about one of the scariest. And all I could think of is, man, that is another reason why I am glad that I don't have a daughter. Because I wouldn't allow any I mean, how do you allow a doctor to examine your daughter? This man, Larry Nassar, was penetrating the vaginas of 12, 13, 14-year-old girls whose names we all know because they're Olympic champions. And he was telling them that by massaging the inside of their vaginal walls, there's nothing creepy about it. He was actually releasing pressure points for their gymnastic ability. And he did it in front of parents. And look, please do not get this twisted. I am not saying that these parents were in any way complicit. I'm saying that we have to have trust in our institutions. And one of our institutions is believing that our doctors are doing what is right. So, I mean, I think I don't know what I would do in that situation. I mean, now I know what I would do. That's freaking BS. What are you doing? And you knock the guy out right there in the examining room. But you live, you learn. We now know that. What do you think about that?
Well, when you say did it in front of parents were present in the exam room when that was happening?
Yeah.
I did not get that from the testimony today that the 4 gymnasts did at the Senate.
Well, yeah, the testimony today was not necessarily about the details of the crime, but about the cover-up that they are.
Some of it was very detailed.
Well, it was detailed to give context to why the cover-up was so disgusting. But the real details of what this guy did, I mean, he flat out raped some of these girls, claiming it was in hotel rooms, claiming that it was, part of their therapy and part of their massage.
Well, I think today's story for me is, how could they have reported it to the FBI in 2015 and it took 17, 18 months for the FBI to actually file a report? And then they said that their stories were not the way that they were told. The FBI lied about the stories. They had a cover up with the United States Olympic Committee.
All right, we'll get into that. But you know what? Why not just get into that now? Why not make that the top story that we're going to talk about here? Because
I thought it was the top story today. That's why I called you from the back. I was like,
yeah, it is. It's definitely trending number one, but we're going to spend a little bit of time on this one. I didn't get to tell you about the coffee company. Anyway, the coffee Dutch Oven Coffee started out as a cart in Oregon back in 1992. And
Dutch Oven Coffee. It's Dutch Brothers.
Dutch Brothers Coffee. Okay. All right. And apparently, it's blowing up the stock exchange today. Apparently, it's suddenly worth $8 billion. It started from a cart in Oregon. So that's why that's trending. That's why I was wondering if you knew about it, because I don't have any stock. I don't pay attention to that stuff. I do have stock from like years ago. I don't know why. Probably good that I don't know that it's just been sitting there, right? I don't know. I wouldn't even know how to.
What if you got GameStop?
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't GameStop?
My luck is probably like Blockbuster. Hey, in 95, you were given 5 shares of Blockbuster. And here we are in 2021. I'm like, oh, really? I owe them money now for holding the stock.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, this is definitely not
maybe
fun.
Rockstar Games.
No, not like I never bought stock. These were things that were given to me. Like I remember I got some stock. Oh, here's another stock that I had. I used to own Evergreen Media stock, which was the radio. Hey, that might be worth something, because that became Clear Channel, which then became iHeart.
Which at some point.
Yeah, and instead of like, getting bonuses and stuff, you'd get like back in the days of radio when they didn't pay producers anything, they gave us like little I didn't know what stock was. It's like a little. I'm sure it's very little. I don't even know. I wouldn't know how to.
You wouldn't even know where to find it.
Where would I? How would I? Hey, Charles Schwab, just call Charles Schwab. I think back in 1996, I was given a couple of shares of a defunct media company. Yes, I don't know. Wouldn't even look. You live, you learn. Yeah, it's gone. What if it's not gone though? What if it's like because of that became?
If they issued the share of stock, it still exists.
Yeah,
and you still own it, unless you sold it. Like you would have to sell it through the stock market, unless they gave you the certificates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Adam, look, you know what? Now Adam's being a producer for me. Adam Reyna in the chat room said that he went to the Rolling Stone Top 500 list because he wanted to see which songs were knocked off. That's information I do not have. So if you would like to start posting some of the songs that got knocked off, that'd be cool. He's like, man, I ain't doing that. He would do it on his own, but once you're asked to do something, suddenly it becomes a chore. All right, not funny. Not funny. This is serious stuff. Man, I'm telling you, being the dad of a girl is not something I'm interested in. Dateline Washington, Olympic gymnasts Simone Biles and Aly Raisman, I mean, those are two very big names, will have testified on one. This is from earlier this morning. Will testify about the sexual abuse they suffered at the hands of disgraced U.S. gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. This as the U.S. Senate examines why the FBI failed to investigate his crimes sooner. Biles and Raisman will appear before the Senate Judiciary Committee alongside their former Olympic teammates, Michaela Maroney, another name, former gymnast Maggie Nichols, who I'm not familiar with. They were the first victim. Oh, Maggie Nichols was the first victim to report the abuse to USA Gymnastics. Now, she reported this back in 2015 to a female Olympics coach who did the right thing. She didn't do what Jim Jordan did. Jim Jordan was an Ohio State football wrestling coach, and a bunch of players came to Jim Jordan, the now Right Honorable Jim Jordan, member of the United States Congress. And Jim Jordan was told about all of these boys being molested, these college boys being molested by the team doctor. And he was like, okay, all right, I'll get right on that. And then did nothing. And he's rewarded by becoming a congressman. So this particular coach for the United States Olympic team did do the right thing. She checked all the boxes. She went through the processes. She told all the right people. And then nothing happened. Nothing. They did nothing about it. She's like, hey, creepy ass team doctor is molesting Maggie Nichols, and we really need to get on top of this. We need to figure out what's going on, and we need to get this monster out of here. It took 2 years before anybody. It took 2 years and a crap ton more gymnasts to start coming forward for the powers that be above this female coach. Now, she didn't do anything wrong, or at least I don't believe she's being accused of doing anything wrong. It took 2 years. 2 years where this guy was allowed to just molest anyone he wanted, any girl in the gymnastics team that came through. These are little girls. I mean, this is just a real scare. Because have you ever seen how young the Olympic hopefuls are when they first get into the program? Not only are they like 12, 13 years old, but they're like 60 pounds. These are like little tiny girls. It's just, look, not that size should make any difference, but it sort of resonates more when you see this girl who looks like a baby and think what she had to go through at the hands of this creep. The hearing comes after the Justice Department's Inspector General Michael Horowitz in July issued a scathing report. So 2015, he was convicted of a couple of incidents first, and then the state of Michigan came in and piled on a whole bunch of more cases. He was also convicted of those. And he's in jail for life. He's doing consecutive terms. I don't know how old this guy is. He was born in 1963. So what would that make him? 58, something like that. He's the rest of his life is going to be in jail, and thankfully so. Horowitz is the Justice Department investigator who decided, I guess, a year later to figure out, how did this go on so long? Now, the Justice Department, the FBI is part of the Justice Department. So this is what I say. We have to have faith in the checks and balances of our institution. If we had absolutely no faith in these institutions, then one would assume that a FBI Justice Department investigator would probably sweep under the rug any of his findings, right?
I'm still just.
Wouldn't that be the QAnon fear?
Yes.
Wouldn't that be that our checks and balances don't work and the whole system is broke? Well, it's not. This Justice Department investigator in July finally issued the final report, and that's the reason that we're having these hearings today, because that final report was damning against his brothers and sisters in the FBI, damning against the United States Olympic Committee, damning against Michigan State. I mean, it was all really bad stuff. The hearing comes after Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz in July issued a scathing report, which blasted the FBI for botching its investigation. Let's see, U.S. Justice Watchdog released report into the FBI probe in a series of errors that allowed the abuse to continue for months. Horowitz will also testify on Wednesday, as will FBI Director Chris Wray. Now, did Chris Wray, FBI Director, did he come out yet?
Yeah, he came out and testified. He's testified, and Horowitz testified.
How was Horowitz? Now, Horowitz is the guy that did the report. How did he come off?
I mean, they all came off, apologizing, saying that the system had failed the gymnasts, that this should never happen again, shouldn't happen, yada, yada, yada. But I'm still having trouble coming to grips with how the guys that did it have not yet to date been prosecuted.
The FBI guys.
Yeah.
Well, do we know what they...
I mean, there was one, the gymnast reported there were 5 reports of sexual abuse in 2015, and one of them was actually on video.
Right.
How's it take 18 months and 5 gold medal gymnasts later for you to finally decide that you're going to maybe start doing something? And like they all testified, how many hundreds of girls could that have been prevented if there wasn't this, what looks like a cover up?
I would say, you said the key word there, looks like a cover up. At this point, we don't know that it was a cover up because there is another option here. The option is incompetence. And although in certain cases, incompetence can be construed as criminal, we have to get to the bottom of it. And that's exactly why our institutional checks and balances are doing what we watched on TV today. Where Abbott is the FBI investigator in charge, right? That was his name, Jay Abbott, I believe.
Yeah, and he's gone.
He was in charge of the investigation. He interviewed the girls. He's the one that slow rolled it, apparently, seemingly, and he's no longer in the FBI. So he's having a bad day today, wherever he is. And he was also accused. Here are the accusations around.
The FBI fired 2 guys today. Why? Yeah. Why today?
Because
that's even more
the checks and balances of our institution. It's become
that's
clear.
Even more clear to me that it was a cover up. Now that the blanket has been taken off, okay, so now we're going to fire him. What took you to today to fire him?
I'll tell you what took you. Well, you're right. After the Justice Department report came out in July of this year, that's when they should have been gone. Look, it is. I guess they have to let it play out. Look, everybody has a lawyer. You fire an FBI, a career FBI agent because of the report, because of his role in this. Now remember, the guy at the top of the report, Abbott, he's no longer in the FBI. He's a private citizen. And that's the other problem, because he apparently was looking for work with the U.S. Olympic Committee. He was looking to leave the FBI and then and this is the problem that we have. The issue going on in America right now, and I say this over and over again, is that we do not trust the institutions that make this poorly oiled machine that we call the American system run. It is poorly oiled, but it does work. It does if you just let it all play out. But a big issue that we have here is that people who come into positions of power within these institutions are allowed to retire from the institutions and then take jobs in the private sector. First thing that Congress needs to do, and they won't, because it will affect their bottom line, the first thing they need to do is enact a law that says that if you work for any of these institutions, being in an elected government, being in the FBI, the Justice Department, that once you leave that, you cannot just take any job in the private sector, especially if it was something related to the work that you had done within the institution. And we do that. I mean, we have the problem that people say about, term limits for congressmen, because the other problem is that congressmen can be in there forever. That's why you have like 98-year-old racist congressmen being wheeled in a wheelchair from their deathbed to cast some vote that, eliminates fair pay for minorities or something like that. You know what I mean? So I have an issue with congressmen being, I want term limits. I want term limits for Congress, but not just term limits. It's got to be, you can't have a guy who runs for Congress and then spends his 8 years or 10, whatever you want to make it, 8 or 10 years in Congress, shilling for some private corporation, knowing that after his term limits are up, he'll just go and get a job with that corporation that he's been shilling for. So the law that we need to make to protect our institutions, and the reason that we have no faith in the institutions, I believe, is because the law is you have term limits for any elected position, including the Supreme Court, term limits for any elected position, but then also you can't take a job in the private sector after you're a congressman for 10 years or 5 years. We'll compromise. We'll figure what that is. But this idea that these wretched, awful people who, I mean, there are people who have been terrible in Congress, at least to my worldview, terrible over the last 20 years, who simply lose their election because they get primaried or something like that. And then they go work for some big oil company where they're a vice president walking in the door at $800,000 salary, yearly bonuses of like $5 million, bullshit like that. So it's got to, but Congress will never do that. Congress will never, and they're the ones that have to, and they won't do it because it affects them. It's like, do you know what the one thing Congress always votes on almost unanimously?
Their salary.
Pay raises for Congress.
Right.
The only nonpartisan issue that Congress comes together. It is right in front of us, people. It's happening right in front of us. And we just, we don't pay any attention to that shit. Why? Because we're upset about masks. We're upset about having to wear a mask in Target. So all of this other shit that they do, it's all a razzle dazzle. It's all, as I said, it's an above board 3-card money game that we see the con going on and we just, oh, well, that's the way it is. But these are the problems with our institutions. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. We're seeing the checks and balances of our messy institutions at work. So it's good that they fired two. Don't be angry that they didn't fire him in July. Just be happy that, okay, it worked. These guys were let go. Horowitz will also testify on what did Chris Wray do, the FBI director? How did he come off? Was he shitting bricks or was he more?
Well, I mean, a lot of it happened before his tenure. He didn't get to the FBI until 2017.
I guess that's true. Yeah. Would that have been Mueller?
It would have been Comey.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, okay. Boy, there's a name I forgot about. Yeah, James Comey.
And so a lot of this would have
character.
Been under Comey's reign as the FBI director. And so, he basically just said, look, the American public depends on the FBI and they trust the FBI in order to give FBI information, and a betrayal of their trust like this puts the whole nation and the FBI in, a peculiar circumstance.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just watching it today, I had to think, if they're not out there swinging hard for Olympic athletes that are representing the United States and making the world a statement to the world for the United States, gold medals, I mean, what these girls do in gymnastics, they set the trends for future Olympic events. Why would I feel as a non-Olympic athlete safe to share my experience with the FBI if they did nothing with Olympic gold medalists?
The FBI has a problem with perception versus reality. When I was growing up, when I thought of a G-man, the image of the G-man, the government man, the FBI guy, because of Hollywood, because of popular culture, was always straight-laced, tie, jacket, just the facts, that whole thing. That's how I was raised to believe in the FBI. Come to realize as I get older, the FBI has always been a shit show. It has always. Hoover was one of the most corrupt people. He was the most powerful man in America for 50 years. He had files on everybody. He tried to take down everybody from Alfred Hitchcock to Martin Luther King in his day. I mean, remember the blacklist in Hollywood and all that stuff. Hoover had unchecked power with the FBI in a way that this country had never seen before. Presidents were afraid of Hoover because of Hoover's files. And that was the reality. But the perception was Hoover's G-Man. Hoover's the greatest American of all time. Well, now we know that Hoover was a piece of shit. Hoover did some really awful things. But again, moving forward to the 70s and 80s when I was growing up, the reputation of the FBI was they were attempting to clean it up. And it was all very staid and very, were very legitimate. That is just simply not the case. I mean, I think for the most part, the FBI, I'd like to believe, has the best interests. But it seems like whenever there is a situation where there's a big, look, it's money, right? I mean, whenever there's an investigation going on and it's going to affect a whole lot of people because it's bad for a shit ton of people, it seems to me that the FBI has not been as above board as they should be. And this is another one of those instances where this dude should have been in cuffs and being interrogated after the first girl said that he penetrated.
It looks like their claims all the way back to 95, 96.
Yes, going all the way.
They go back that far. Mm-hmm. And so if you just do the math, 95, 96, to then you hear about it again in 2015. And not only do you hear about it, but you hear about it from, 4 Olympic or 5 Olympic gold medalists. And one of the incidents, the 6th incident is caught on camera. How then it takes 18 months from there to make it to some form of an investigation. And then the girls claim that what they told the investigators in the investigation wasn't represented properly. They falsified the report.
Because Abbott wanted a job with the Olympic Committee.
And covered it up. And don't you think if you're taking down a massive pedophile like that's the doctor for the U.S. Olympic team, you're going to make a name for yourself in a way that wherever you want to go after the FBI, you're going to get paid. Why are you taking I'm going to cover it up route to feather my bed with the U.S. Olympic Committee when busting somebody in that organization and showing the corruptness of that organization is going to lift your status amongst the country versus you're just worrying about, I'm going to save my buddy over here at the Olympic Committee. I don't know. The whole thing didn't make sense to me at all. And still doesn't make sense to me. And I think that was the sad thing that these girls were testifying today about. It's like, okay, it's bad enough that we're abused, but then when we think we're telling the FBI about our abuse and the FBI is not responding, well, then we kind of feel like, well, maybe we're not really that abused. And this whole
right. Oh, just hysterical women, just hysterical little girls. They didn't understand the treatment they were getting.
Yeah.
In a hotel room on the floor with my pants down and he's straddling me. That's a treatment. Yeah. And all of this bullshit we hear about the smoke-filled backroom deals that are made in politics. These dang smoke-filled backroom deals that are made. These deals are made at the Four Seasons bar between two people who just incidentally run into each other. That's how they do. So, we were just talking because he was there and I was. Yeah, okay. And the corruption is rampant in every aspect of not American life, in global life. Humanity is naturally corrupted. That's why we have morals. That is why we teach children morals. That's why faiths exist. Why children are. That's what corruption is. It's a lack of morals. It's a lack of willingness or a lack of a dedication to doing what's right, because doing what's right would adversely affect your future or your dreams or what you will get out of it. So that's a whole nother argument. Let's get back into this. The FBI's investigation into Nassar started in July of 2015 after USA Gymnastics president and CEO Stephen Penny reported the allegations to the FBI's Indianapolis field office and provided agents with the names of 3 victims willing to be interviewed. That office, then led by Special Agent in Charge, Jay Abbott, the guy we're talking about, did not formally open an investigation. The FBI only interviewed 1 witness months later in September of 2015 and then failed to formally document that interview in an official report known as 302. They finally did months later in February of 2017, a year later. Well after the FBI had arrested Nassar on charges of possessing sexually explicit images of not children. Now, this is something that I didn't realize. Nassar was busted on, and not an altogether unrelated, but on a different charge of actual physical molestation. Somehow he got caught up in kiddie porn. And then I guess when those charges came down, they went, oh shit, we've got year-old files on this dude. We better get hopping. So it was, imagine the day Jay Abbott, the FBI field officer, special agent in charge, Jay Abbott in the Indianapolis field office. Imagine the day it came across that the guy that he had shielded, who's, a report of molesting, he stuffed in a filing cabinet somewhere. Imagine the day that it came across that he was now busted by other FBI agents. That had to be a scary day for old Jay Abbott.
Is the testimony on the internet yet? I think
I'm sure it is.
For the audience to hear.
I'm sure you can go to YouTube. It's they're in a break right now. Right now, I'm watching Simone Biles, star gymnast, call out feds over Nassar investigate. Was it Maroney? Was that the girl that we were watching?
Michaela Maroney. Her testimony was fire.
She was good in that context, but man, yeah, she had some passion. She was going for it.
And just
naming names, dropping bombs, being detailed.
Yep. I think when you hear, because it's hard to put into it. Like, okay, if we're going to be honest, you and I were sitting there and we're like, why are these girls going in front of the Senate? This guy's been in jail for, 3
I was
or
unaware
4
of the drop in July of the detail. I just thought this was settled science. I thought
right, and I thought and I did too. I thought, well, this is them coming back to talk about this Nassar guy. Why are they doing? It just kind of didn't make sense to me. And then all of a sudden, when I heard
hearing,
you started listening to the testimony, you were like, my God. And I said to you, Pugs, this is going to be number 1 topic today. Like, the world doesn't know this is the way that went down. And when you hear her testimony and how he groomed her and how he set his schedule up.
The texts. He was sending texts. You looked beautiful up there today. You inspire me with your grace and beauty. He was grooming these girls to be dependent on him for their health, for their emotional hype, for whatever.
Yeah, she said he would buy me caramel macchiatos and get me some bread when I was hungry. And, Michaela, the way that you look at the world through your rose-colored glasses is interesting,
That was the other one. He texted her after a meet immediately, like after she stepped off the mats, she got a text from this creep doctor who was molesting her that said, I love the way you view the world through rose-colored glasses. You inspire me. Look, in another context, that might be okay, but no. Not when you know the backstory of what he's been doing.
I mean,
had been doing.
As somebody who, the first art charity that I sponsored was Dallas Children's Advocacy Center, which unfortunately is the same situation. It's kids that are sexually and physically abused. When I just heard her testimony, I got goosebumps and then I got mad. I got really, really mad thinking that, these poor kids trusted parents. I mean, forget that they're an FBI agent. They're going to adults at 12 and 13 and 14 years old, and they're telling their stories. And as a parent, you have an obligation to take care of kids, whether
Yeah.
they're your own kids or other kids that are at your house with your kids. There's just this blanket, I don't know, responsibility, and how you could sit in a room and listen to a child essentially telling you that. And she said, and this is what really got to me in her testimony. She said, after she had explained how he had vaginally penetrated her, and she was inconsolable for about a minute, not a response. And then he said, "Is that all?" And she said, that has stuck with me longer.
Is that all? That's it?
Right.
What are we doing here? I'm FBI agent in charge, J.Ab. You're wasting my time. I'm working on terrorism stuff.
And I think if you play that, then you'll get how, after that, I was impressed with each of the senators that commented. And they said to the girls, they said, wow, your courage to win a gold medal is one thing, and the hours of practice you've done, but what you've done today is more courageous than anything that you've done for your country. And think about the kids today that you are saving from this particular horrible act because of the way that we are now going to act. And they apologized for their failure, and they apologized for how the FBI had failed them. But I really thought today those girls went home going, wow, we made a difference today. And that was,
they really did.
That was the thing. And I think
look at us. We were stunned about, they made a difference with us. And we can't possibly be the only people who are watching that on all three news networks live as it unfolded this morning.
I think we'll be talking about this again tomorrow and the other things that are going to come out. And just, I don't know. It was really, really powerful. Now we got breaking news.
Yeah. Richard Blumenthal, Senator Richard Blumenthal of Connecticut, he is now making a statement. I believe they're in recess and coming back later. Blumenthal calls for more criminal investigations into the Nassar case. Now is when Jay Abbott is sweating. Now is when we're going to get into how many of these incompetent or criminally complicit FBI agents who worked this case and stuffed this case in a drawer somewhere, are they going to have to pay the piper? These are the checks and balances. This is what we have to rely on. It's slow and it doesn't work as quickly as maybe we'd like it to. But if we just put our trust, this is going to play out. We're going to have some form of justice and satisfaction. I promise. Can't take away what the girls went through.
Yeah. And the testimony was there were 6, which you could argue people that testified, oh, well, it's he said, she said, blah, blah, blah. No, there were 5 without a videotape. There was a 6th one with a videotape. So you can't walk away with a he said, she said when you have video evidence. Yeah. I mean, clearly it's she said, not he said, when he's guilty in the video.
Now, Senator Blumenthal, Democrat Senator Blumenthal, has stepped aside from the podium, and Republican Senator Chuck Grassley is now speaking on the same topic of needing more Senate Judiciary members speak after hearing on Larry Nassar case. Soon, U.S. gymnasts speak after testifying about FBI Nassar investigation. So maybe it is done for the day. Anyway, this is one thing that I don't know that I'm shocked by, but I'm certainly encouraged by. We just saw Blumenthal, and now we're seeing Grassley. We found a bipartisan issue for the United States Congress. We have found an issue where people have not made it political, and that's good. That is real. I mean, who's going to take the side of the FBI cover-up besides Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz?
I don't think there'll be one person.
Themselves.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be one person that's going to be on the side of the FBI here. I mean, you're going against gold medalist gymnasts.
Right. America's darlings, Wheatie box art are models, we're talking about people who I knew every name. Well, just about every name. The one girl that I didn't recognize, but I'm sure she's accomplished in her own right. I'm not a big gymnastics fan, so I know the ones that got commercials after gold medals, right? That's pretty much, that's why I know Gabby Douglas and Simone Biles and Michaela Maroney and those people. Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, these are not just a bunch of anonymous little girls in some boarding school somewhere. These are American icons. These are gold medal winners. Who's speaking now? It says we've got one of these little girls speaking. Young women. They're young women now.
She's the gymnast that was at Oklahoma.
Is that Maggie Nichols?
Yes.
The first one?
First one to testify, or first one to report the abuse.
The other thing that I was impressed by with these young girls, and maybe I shouldn't be because they've been on the world stage for quite some time, how composed they were, how professional they were in the way. And these are young women and still girls and some, I guess. Oh no, this is Katie Lorenz, gymnast sexually abused by Larry Nassar.
Okay, so I couldn't tell. The thing that I thought also was really an adult-like statement that Allie Raceman said. She said, we've been looked at as people that are opposite of the U.S. Olympic Committee and opposite of the Paralympic Committee. And the reality is we're part of it, and we're not anti-U.S. Olympic Committee. We need a voice at the table. There's been so much negative pushback towards them for basically taking and bringing fire to this organization for what happened to them. And that's just part of the cover up. And I thought that was really, I think adult-like for them to realize, hey, we're not the bad guy. We actually are not saying we don't like this organization, but we do need to change the way this organization operates.
All right, now I think we're looking at Michaela Maroney and Allie Raceman. Is that who we're looking at?
Yep.
They didn't put the names up yet, so I don't know who they are. But I believe that's who we watched earlier today. Michaela Maroney, she's she's the one that really went to town with names and stuff. If you're watching the TV, she's the one on the left wearing the polka dots or whatever they are. That girl really impressed me. That was the first girl I watched when you brought me in and you rewound and you said,
I rewound it because she dropped him in the grease. It was just like Jay Abbott, the U.S. attorney, the one that you said is from Chicago, dropped her in the grease. I mean, she just fired.
Is the pool guy here?
I don't know, but the door's locked.
I just heard it's the dog.
The dog, the dog's up here.
The dog's yard. Not when the pool guy's here. The dog does not get access to the yard when the pool guy's here.
No, or the yard guy. So you can't find the testimony on YouTube? It's got to be on there.
Yeah, it'll be up shortly. Let's see. Okay, so let's wrap this up here. The FBI investigation into Nassar started in July 2015 after U.S. Gymnasts President and CEO Stephen Penny reported the allegations to the FBI's Indianapolis field office. That office, then led by Special Agent in Charge Jay Abbott, did not formally open an investigation. The FBI only interviewed one witness months later and failed to formally document that interview in an official report. Until February of 2017, well after the FBI had arrested Nassar on charges. So they didn't even admit to having interviewed any victims until the dude fucked up in another area, and they went, "Oh crap, cover your ass time." When the interview was finally documented in 2017 by an unnamed supervisory special agent, I wonder what that's about. Unnamed, the guy who finally filed it. I don't know. The report was filled with materially false information. So when they did finally cover their ass, they still made it nice and tidy for the U.S. Olympic community to be able to go, "We didn't know. This is news to us that he had a whole bunch of child porn on his laptop. We had no idea." Okay, so this is more of...
And we didn't hear her say that. She actually said this. That was what she said in her testimony.
Materially false,
Right.
meaning the material that was included in this document, the specific things they said people said were never said.
Which is a cover-up.
Right, and the things that they did say were completely omitted. It was like, yeah, we talked to one of them, and she said she kind of liked it. It's like that kind of obvious cover-up where she never said that, you monster. The office also failed to share the allegations with state or local law enforcement agencies. Quoting now, children suffered needlessly because multiple agents in multiple offices at the FBI neglected to share the Nassar allegations with their law enforcement counterparts at the state and local agencies. This, according to, this was said by ranking Republican Charles Grassley. Disturbingly, the abuse occurred at the hands of someone who was entrusted with their medical treatment and well-being, he added. Horowitz also said about Abbott, so this is Horowitz, the guy who did the scathing report that came out in July. Horowitz also said about Special Agent in Charge Abbott, who retired from the FBI in 2018, that he also violated the FBI's, here we go, conflict of interest policy by discussing a possible job with the U.S. Olympic Committee while he was involved with the Nassar investigation. Well, get yourself sized up for a jumpsuit, dude, because you are going to be in cuffs. That is the most flagrant violation of anyone's oath to our institutions that you could take. That is some bullshit. And if they can prove that,
not only bullshit, but you let a guy after monster sexually abuse 100 little girls after that, you could have stopped that for a effing job? Are you fucking kidding me?
Let me put it to you this way. There are dudes who get caught up in conflict of interest things. It happens a lot with it doesn't happen a lot, but the story that I'm thinking of is an SEC, not the FBI, the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, where they're investigating some big baller on Wall Street, and suddenly the investigation goes away because that big baller suddenly has an opening in his office for a quality control guy to make sure they're doing everything legal. And the deals come with, I mean, it's the exact same thing, except we're not talking about money. Look, money already pisses us off when people make, end arounds the law just to make a little extra money. That's bullshit. That's whatever. 1%. That's a daily thing. These are kids. These are kids that were sexually molested, and you swept that under the rug so that what? You could be in charge of security for the next 20 years for the United States Olympic Committee? That's a shit person. That is a shit person who would go, you know what? These girls, whatever. They probably liked it.
The other thing that's shocking is he's not the only one in the interview. There's 2 or 3 other agents that are present at the time that this interview is going on with those girls. And how then you go to work the next day and the next day and the next day for 18 months and you're not like, hey, how come we don't have Nassar in cuffs? Speaks to this whole cover-up of the guy that carries the badge in a family that exists for that family and not part of the rest of the U.S. that I don't even know what to say right now. I'm too mad.
An attorney for Jay Abbott, who I'm sure he's about to get a whole bunch of new attorneys. The attorney for Jay Abbott, the special agent in charge, who's in the crosshairs of the cover-up, the attorney said that my client, Jay Abbott, is thankful to prosecutors for bringing Nassar to justice. It was your job, dude. What do you mean you're thankful? It was your job. You were the agent in charge of this thing. And now you're, look, you know what? I know attorneys. This country is suffered more damage at the hands of crafty attorneys twisting the law, twisting words, bullshit like this. Really, attorney for investigator Abbott, your client is now thankful that other prosecutors brought charges and that other prosecutors put this guy in jail? Shut the F up. The following year, Nassar, who had been the main doctor for the Olympic gymnast, was sentenced in federal court in 2017 to 60 years in prison on charges of possessing child sex abuse material. So he went to jail not for the molesting, but for his hobby, which is apparently collecting creepy porn. Nassar, who had been the main doctor, we read that the following year, he was also sentenced to up to 175 years and also up to 125 years on 2 separate counts in Michigan for molesting female gymnasts under his care at Michigan State. But we haven't even really dealt with the high-profile Olympic names that he molested.
I know. It's I don't know.
That's a bad story. And boy, oh boy, if I was the dad of one of,
much as I don't like Ted Cruz, what Ted Cruz said at this hearing, I was like, wow, he gets it. It was it. I don't know. John Cornyn made a compelling, statement. I don't know. It's just here. It was like, I think all those guys, whether Republican or Democrat, needed to hear America's darlings talk about how they had been failed. And then the dad in all of them stepped up.
Yeah, well, it's more. This story is, as they say, developing ... All right, also trending today, Mammoth is trending. The woolly
mammoth?
Yeah, really? the woolly mammoth. It's back, baby. The woolly mammoth is back. Extinct for 1,000 years. Well, here's why. You money people. I don't understand you money people. So there's a new startup, and the startup's aim is to unextinct the 1,000 years old dead woolly mammoth by using woolly mammoth DNA discovered from woolly mammoth bones and its closest living relative, which is the Asian elephant. And for some, Peter Thiel, Peter Thiel, the crazy billionaire.
Okay. I've heard of the name.
Some of these billionaires are going to space. By the way, Elon Musk tonight, I guess the launch was pushed back to tonight, so we might be able to watch that live because it was supposed to go off at like 6 a.m, I think, and I'm not going to make that. I don't love space that much. I don't love billionaires in space that much. So I think that's going to be tonight. Some of them are going to space. Some of them are bringing back the woolly mammoth. That's what Peter Thiel is into, and apparently this story here, this company is making a lot of money. A lot of people are investing a whole crap ton in this startup that aims to bring back the woolly mammoth. They have all kinds of crazy claims that, a woolly mammoth would help the environment and all of that. And then there's the reason it's trending is because there's a whole bunch of other legitimate scientists who are like,
not going to happen.
Not going to happen. You can't do that.
Even if it does happen, it's still only a 50% woolly mammoth.
Well, right, but what they believe is over time they might be able to breed down. Once you get more and more of the characteristics of the woolly mammoth and less of the characteristic of the Asian elephant, you can at some point maybe get to 80% woolly mammoth, 20%. You could do that. You see that with dog breeds. I mean, you could do that over the course of breeding, generational breeding. But people are saying that, no, you can't do that. We don't have
that mathematically work, though? Okay, if I got 50 and I breed to another 50.
Okay, so you got 50-50, right?
Right.
And then let's take it with kids. Well, let's take it with humans. So you got a mom and a dad, right? And mom has characteristics and the dad has characteristics. Although they're both the same species. I don't think these humans are humans across the board.
Right, but where are you going to get to the lopsided one?
Do I look like I know anything about bringing back extinct prehistoric
I don't either. I'm just doing math. I'm like, okay, if you got 50 on one side, 50 on the other side, you then breed one, you get a 50-50.
So you have 20 babies of the Asian elephant, right? Or 20. I don't know. They probably only have one in a lifetime because they're big.
I see the thought process. Okay.
So what you do is you take the one with the most characteristics of the woolly mammoth, and then you breed that with another one that's got dominant.
Well, you go only woolly mammoth to the 50-50 woolly mammoth.
And now you got 75-25.
And then you got 75-25. I guess you can never really get it out.
No.
But you can.
But I don't know. Maybe
you can get the 90. I don't know. But the higher, I guess.
They're throwing around a whole bunch of stuff. Like with stem cells, we can. I mean, like all of these sort of scientific things that I just go, huh? So that's what's happened. So look forward to that. The woolly mammoth is coming back. By the way, I read a bunch of the details of the woolly mammoth. It was like 3 times larger than the regular elephant that we have now, and that their ears were 5 times smaller. The big giant elephant ears that we see now, apparently woolly mammoth didn't have those. I mean, I think what we're going to end up in our lifetime with, we'll see like a hairy elephant. Maybe that's as good as our lifetime will be able to get. We'll see a hairy, bigger elephant, but it won't really be like what you see a depiction of a woolly mammoth at the History Museum or anything.
Okay.
Let's see here. You're a fan of the Duggars? Do you know about these guys, the Duggars?
Yeah, didn't they have like a show with 17 kids or something like that?
Yeah, a freak show family with like
Kate
19
and John,
kids.
or no, that was Kate, and that was the other group.
Yeah, what was that? Why do we have so many famous people in this country who just have shit tons of kids? Why is that a thing that makes you famous?
Well, I guess because like I have such trouble dealing with one. I can't imagine people that can juggle that many balls in one day.
I don't want 19 kids and counting. Do you know why? Because one of those kids is going to be a serial killer. One of those, you keep pumping out. Some of those kids are going to absolutely suck. I mean, you and I both have one, and we're on pins and needles hoping that this one turns out all right. At least our odds are better. But if I had like 19 versions of my boy Mace, some of them are going to be squirrely. Some of them are not going to be great. So that's why I wouldn't want it.
You know what we need to do? We need to make a show and then add the chat room to it. It's funny. Like our chat room people, they're just killing it. It says the genetics is doable on the woolly mammoth. Gestation period is 22 months. So it's a long process. The Duggars, not so long.
Yeah, no, not so long. That's the other fun fact about the woolly mammoth. The fetuses that they expect to be working on, the fetus of this hybrid is going to be 300 pounds. A 300-pound fetus.
Oh, wow.
That's a big haul there.
Imagine that coming out without a C-section. Oh.
So to my point about why the Duggars are trending today, like I said, you have that many kids. Some of them are going to be squirt. Imagine how many times let's say you had 10 boys and 9 girls. Imagine how many unwanted pregnancies, and then imagine how many times you'll have to bail out some of those 10 boys throughout the course of probably a whole bunch of them together. Because imagine, they'll get into some shit together. I just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it. Wouldn't want it. I mean, I make fun of our friend James, who joins us at 10 o'clock because he's got 4 kids. I couldn't imagine that. My ex-partner, Kelly, she's the old lady in the shoe. She's got like 20 kids herself now. Well,
yeah, I mean, it's like you're the CEO of your family. You have so many employees, like you've got departments.
So here's what's going on with the Duggars and why they're trending. You may remember one of them was squirrely. I'm sure there's far more of them that are squirrely. But Josh Duggar, one of the older sons, he's a pedophile. Yep, he's you're going to have one of those if you have 19. Oh my God, what is the rate? What is the ratio on pedophiles? I hope to God it's like 1 in 800 because they got 1 out of 19. I hope that's not the ratio. I hope it's not 1 in every 19 people is a pedophile. Holy cow. So anyway, he got in some trouble for diddling his own sisters and stuff. That's the other thing. Could you imagine having 6 to 10 kids all going through puberty at the same time? And they're all living in a barn together, sleeping in sleeping bags. I mean, I don't know what kind of job would you have to have 19 kids? I can't afford one.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it just seems like at a certain point in time, you're not able to give what you would think needs to be given to that many kids.
Emily, the French, Mexican, Irish girl. So I guess she's not Irish, just through marriage. You're good enough through marriage. She says that they have 20 or 21 kids now. Don't stop, Duggars. Keep going. Man, the mom the mom.
I mean, how do you go to 21 baseball games? How do you go to 21 football games?
You cannot be a good parent to more than 5 kids. I'm sorry, you just can't. If you have more, and I put the number at 5 because I knew a family that had 5 kids growing up, and those kids, at least last I checked, they all turned out fine. They're all good kids.
I would say you can be a good parent. It's just tough to get in.
You can be a loving parent, but
it's just to more than 5. I think it's just tough to get all the amount of time in that you would want to get in.
Okay, so your dad, you're coming home from work. You know, you'd like to think that involved parents, you know, you have 2 kids, 3 kids, maybe one of them had a tough day at school. You got to sit down and talk to them. Was this Duggar dad spending time with 19 kids talking about? Not at all, man. Some of these kids are, I just don't think you can possibly do a good job going out on a limb there. And here's the other thing I thought as a divorced dad. What if they got divorced? You're stuck in that marriage forever. You cannot get divorced for one reason. It is not economically feasible for anyone to make child support payments on 19 kids.
Well, or have a house where 19 of them stay half the week, right. And then 19 of them stay at the other place.
That's weird. That is weird.
I mean, at that point in time, you have one house where the kids stay and the parents move in and out of it. That's the only way that's going to work.
Adam brings up a good point. Adam says, my mom had 6 kids, but my sister mostly watched me since there was a 13-and-a-half-year gap. Yeah, that was the situation actually with the family that I knew growing up that had 5. They were lucky to have the 2 oldest were daughters. So as soon as they turned 15, 16, those daughters were doing mommy work with the younger 2. There were 2 that were younger, late in life twins. So, they had 3 they had 2 that were kind of normal. And then they had one more a couple of years later and they're like, we're done. And then they got the surprise, and the surprise were twins. And that's how they ended up with 5. So yeah, you're right. That's a good thing. You got to have I imagine that the Josh or the Duggar family kids, the daughters, especially the older ones, they were enlisted into heavy duty working from the moment they were able to. That's so anyway, the reason that they're trending is because Josh Duggar, who was accused of molesting his sisters and other people, or I don't want to get the story wrong, but something like that. That happened a while back, and now there are members of the Duggar family who seem to be distancing themselves from the rest. And if you have 19 kids and one of them turns into a pedophile, I mean, look, I always say that I love my son unconditionally. And it doesn't matter what he does, no matter how, and you disagree with me on this, right? Or does James disagree with me on this? That if they became drug addicts, whatever it is.
No, I'm with you on it.
My one son will have me no matter what. I don't care what I don't care if he turns out to be Ted Bundy. That's just, look, let's hope not. But I mean, that's just how I believe a parent has to be with their kid. Look, there may be circumstances that would change this, but whatever. I don't know how you could do. I mean, with 19 kids, you just got to cut one loose. You just got to be like, look, I've got 19. You're not that special. With me, my one is very special. Your one is very special. 19, you got to be like, what's that kid's name again? Wait, which one is the pedophile? It's like you're wondering, like, you're blaming another one. Oh, I thought you were the pedophile. You're not the pedophile. Okay, what's your name again? I don't want that. Also, the Queen and North Korea are trending today. You know why?
I'm guessing the Queen is trending because she's still alive.
Well, they're trending in conjunction with each other.
Maybe the missile that North Korea launched was in the direction of England.
No, they're trending because it's apparently the Queen's birthday, or the Queen's birthday is coming up, and Kim Jong-un sent a nice little note. Remember when Trump said he sent the most beautiful note? God,
he's a dictator.
So the Queen got a beautiful note from the ruler of North Korea on her birthday, and she responded, and hey man, I watched The Crown. Queen's going to respond. The Queen is a classy lady, man. The Queen knows exactly what the thing to do is in these tricky mismanners type situations that you find yourself in. So the Queen sent back in response to the kind note, a note to North Korea that simply said, "Thank you for the wishes. I wish nothing but wonderful and inspiring times for your people in the future." It was like I was like, "Damn, Liz, that's how you do it. You acknowledge the nicety. You don't say anything nice about the person who sent it to you, but you talk about the people and how radical freaking change needs to happen there, and you put it in the nicest possible way." So that's why it's Queen Liz dropped one.
Well done.
What's that?
Well done.
Yeah. Number one selling jersey in the NHL. That's trending right now. You know what it is? Because it just went on sale, and it's killing
the
everybody.
Kraken jersey.
Kraken, the Seattle Kraken jersey, which I looked at a picture of. I don't love it so much. I mean,
it reminded me of the Seattle baseball team.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in. See, that's a thing that my city and my teams never did. Remember when Pittsburgh? All the Pittsburgh teams were winning championships, and they all had the same color scheme. They were all black and gold, or whether it's the Penguins or the Pirates, and the Steelers, of course, they were all black and gold. Seattle's kind of doing that thing too. My Chicago teams didn't do that. They were all, I guess, because they all came up, 100 years ago, and they were independent, and nobody was thinking that way. But Dallas, how are we in Dallas? The Mavericks and the Cowboys are the same.
Well, they have blue, and they've got a gray, and they've got a silver.
The Stars aren't. But the Stars colors, you're wearing the Dallas Stars colors right now.
They came from Minnesota that had green and yellow already.
Yeah, the green and yellow is for the sunshine, and the green is for the trees and the wilderness of Minnesota. So that fits up there.
And it was the North Stars.
Yeah. Dino Ciccarelli. I remember those teams. They were that was the couple of years that I was into hockey when I was little.
Let's see, the Jets and the Yankees, green and white, and
Giants,
white and blue. Giants, red and blue.
Knicks, no. Knicks have orange.
Yeah. Miami Heat, no.
Dolphins, no.
No.
Atlanta, no. Falcons are different than the Braves.
I would think Seattle and Pittsburgh are really the two.
Yeah.
The Penguins are black and yellow. The Pirates are black and yellow, and the Steelers are black and yellow.
I don't know if I have a take on that. I don't know if I really care. I don't care enough about Seattle sports teams, so not. But I'm glad that my teams, the teams that I root for, all have unique and different jerseys. Different colors, different.
It allows you to decorate the sports bar, kind of.
Yeah, with a little bit different motif.
Well, or with the same, but the accent.
I guess the motif would be the same. Different color schemes. Yeah.
Right.
Ozzy Osbourne is trending because Ozzy is having spinal surgery, and apparently it's pretty serious spinal surgery. And his wife, what's her name?
Sharon Osbourne.
Karen Osbourne.
Sharon, not Karen.
Sharon Osbourne. I should have known that. It should have been loaded up. That's
time for the seventh grade teacher's mom to get out of your head.
Yep. Time to get seventh grade girlfriend's mom. Linda. Get out of my head, Linda. I don't need your information anymore. Make room for Sharon Osbourne when I need to pull that up. Sharon Osbourne is saying that the spinal surgery should get Ozzy back up on stage. Sharon's Ozzy's a wreck, man. Ozzy has Parkinson's disease, and he fell a couple of years ago and shattered his back, and he's had multiple surgeries, and all Sharon wants to do is get him back up on stage, get Ozfest back up and running.
Well, because I think, what's he doing if he's not making his fans happy? Like, that's
recovering, and trying to enjoy life. He has Parkinson's disease.
But I think he is somebody that will entertain or attempt to entertain till he can't do it anymore. Like, I think, kind of like when my mom had a job, and then the minute she decided she was going to retire, the downhill slope was literally 8 months. And then at the end of 8 months, she was not here anymore. And I think there are certain people that their life expectancy is attached to their career, and once they have not that to strive to get back to, they just quit. They kind of check out. And I think Ozzy's one of those guys that he's been Ozzy until he's not Ozzy anymore, and when he's not Ozzy anymore, then he's probably not here much longer.
I saw Ozzy Osbourne like 20 years ago. And the comment, it was one of those Ozfest concerts where it was a whole bunch of people, and he came out and did a couple of songs. I want to say he played with a couple of members of Black Sabbath, so it was like almost a Black Sabbath reunion because other people were there like that. But 20 years ago, we're watching Ozzy Osbourne, and the people I was with were like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna be dead in a year." He did not look like, the Ozzy from Blizzard of Oz stalking the state. I mean, he looked really bad 20 years ago. So what are they gonna do? Roll him out? I mean, I get your point that some people are blessed, and boy, is this a blessing. Some people are, and I tell this to my son all the time. The best thing that you can do with your life, whatever you're planning on doing with your life, is never have a job. And Ozzy has never had a job. Now his job is to be a musician, but you don't consider it a job when it's something you love to do. Like there's got to be nothing worse than being 25, 26 years old. You went into accounting because your parents forced you into it because it was going to be steady and stable and secure, but you hate your life every time the alarm goes off in the morning. You are just so miserable in your job. If you are lucky enough to be able to make a living doing your passion, that's rare. And that's what Ozzy's doing. So maybe that's maybe what your mom, what am I, from England all of a sudden? Your mom had something that she was passionate about and she enjoyed doing it, right? She wasn't ill and in decline, if that's not too insensitive a word. I don't know. It sounds medical, actually. She had something that she looked forward to, something that kept her busy, something that kept her from, just, ending, whatever
Right.
it is. So that is a real blessing. I tell people all the time that I don't know. I tried, man. I tried doing regular stuff. But I chose a profession when I knew what I wanted to do from the time I was 12 or 13, but from a very early age, I talk about I was in college when I got my first job in radio. I mean, I have been lucky that every morning I wake up and I'm excited to go do, and I recognize that's a real blessing. I used to at Live 105.3, and this is not any sort of negative compare and contrast with Kelly, because Kelly had children and a family, and she had obligations that were more important than our stupid little show. So she took her vacation time and spent it with her kids and did all the things that a good mom does. I left years worth of vacation time on the table, emotional days, sick days, all of that, left it all on the table because when I did go on vacation, I couldn't wait to get back. I couldn't wait to just sit here and talk to people. And
I need to find this place where your vacation days and your stock is.
yeah, right. Well, my vacation days are at CBS Radio, which is no longer around. But yeah, no, I did. I was forced at some point, Gavin, our program director at the time, I was forced to take vacation days. He's like, you've got all 4 weeks here. I think he was afraid that I was going to take them all at once. Like I would do that. He didn't understand that I'm not taking 6 weeks off. I'm not going to take them all at once and screw your book up.
Nowadays, they write you a check. They write you a check for them. If you accrue so many of them, they write you a check so you get paid for your vacation days that you didn't take.
That wasn't how CBS rolled. That wasn't. Right. They did. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, there you go. I don't even know what were we talking about there.
Well, we're just talking about people loving their job and Ozzy.
And why maybe Ozzy. It's all right for him to be trotted out there. All right. So, let's do the music stuff. We'll end on the music stuff. Well, the 100, maybe we'll do the 100 tonight on the Pillow Talk edition. We come back for another 2 hours at 10 o'clock every night. Me tonight. I think we're going to have James Parker in a box with us too. I think we're going to have 3 boxes tonight because he's
the actual video of James.
He sent me a text this morning because if you remember, I tried to call him last night, and I'm pretty sure. All right, he didn't answer. I left him a message. He didn't text me anything back, but I wake up this morning and here's the text I get from James Parker. Get me on your show in video. Like, that's the only way he's willing to do it now.
Ed probably talked to him.
I don't know.
Ed was getting upset that we keep on doing the phone bit.
Yeah, I know. Don't do that. These are the phone bits getting all. Don't do that. That's the kind of thing that made me hate every program director except one that I ever worked with. Don't harsh my role. Don't, just okay.
Let's see if
Not
we can
good.
get the
I know
chat
it's
room.
not good.
The checkup on Ed text. He goes, I heard I missed something on a .com. I said, yeah, DutchOvenPizza.com.
Did he get it?
I don't know if he got it. I said it was a joke,
Oh.
but he still might take it down for the $8 or $9.
Telling you, that play of his where he just grabs up every .com of any interesting grouping of words and then puts .com. That's gonna pay off for him someday.
If anybody could make a .com work like that, it would be a radio show. Like
Dutch
Oven Pizza, or at least it's a T-shirt.
Well, Emily says in the chat room, James Parker is a vain beast. I love him though. He really is. That's one of the things that I find most humorous about him, because he quite literally, this is not a joke. I mean, he may play it off as being funny, and he is funny, and he's brilliant. He really is brilliant. And he's funny and witty and all of that stuff. But he really does. We talked about the Dr. Death miniseries about how doctors have God complexes. James Parker has a God complex. He will he will amuse you. He'll put up with whatever it is that you're doing, but never forget that inside his heart of hearts, he believes that he is 1,000 times better than you, than me, than anyone that he is talking to at any
Really? I don't get that from him, but I'll have to pay more attention now that you brought it out.
So, truth be told, it might be true. He's big, he's good looking, he's in shape, he's brilliant. He's all of those things. So
I'm going to see if I can get him to take his shirt off tonight on the video, since he hates guys that jog with their shirts off, and you think he's vain.
We don't need to see his dad bod. All right, so why don't we do this? Should we go through? Rolling Stone put out their list, not an annual list. It is a list that they come up with every 10 years or so. 500 best songs of all time. Now, how is this list created? What they do is they take, it's basically a poll of, and it's Rolling Stone. So, they're not talking to Scooter down at the garage, on Main Street. They're talking to music writers, music critics, music journalists. They're talking to the entire Rolling Stone staff. They're talking to other artists, performers. This is the aggregate opinion, I suppose, of people whose opinions might mean a little bit more than your cousin Dave, who's really into music.
This is a list that says, hey, the list that we made before was awful.
Was a little racist. We didn't include any hip hop guys. We didn't. Yeah. All right. So, 17 years. For the first time in 17 years, we've completely remade our list of the best songs ever. More than 250 artists, writers, and industry figures helped us choose a brand new list full of historic favorites, world-changing anthems, and new classics. In 2004, Rolling Stone published its list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. It's one of the most widely read stories in our history, viewed hundreds of millions of times on this site, but a lot has changed since 2004. Back then, the iPod was relatively new, and Billie Eilish was only 3 years old. So we've decided to give the list a total reboot. To create the new version of the Rolling Stone 500, we convened a poll of more than 250 artists, musicians, and producers, from Angelique Kidjo to Zedd, Sam Smith to Megan Thee Stallion, M. Ward to Bill Ward. I don't know. As well as figures from the music industry, the leading critics, and leading music journalists. They each sent in a ranked list of their top 50 songs, and then we tabulated the results. So that seems like, so this is an aggregate drawn out to 500 of all of 250 people's top 50 lists. So obviously their top 50 isn't all going to be the same. So you're going to have stuff to fill out.
And just based on the way they did it, it's going to be slanted towards music that's more current versus less current.
No. The classics are all still here. It's still
classics. But I bet you there's a bunch of mid-range stuff that got moved out and replaced by new stuff. Because if I'm polling people, the older you get, the more life takes effect and you die. So there's less people that know the older stuff than know the newer stuff.
I'll give you an example of that. There's something in music journalism known as the Sharona conundrum, which is that the song My Sharona was a massive hit back in 1979 for the one-hit wonder band The Knack, right? We all know that song, right? I mean, everybody knows the song My Sharona. That song was not well received by anybody when it came out. But over the course of time, it has become so omnipresent in American pop culture that it now gets a play. And I don't even know that it's on this list, but that's the one that they use as an example. Another good example is E.T., the movie E.T. the Extraterrestrial. That movie was panned by critics when it came out. But over time, just about every critic, most notably Roger Ebert, was forced to re-examine it and say, all right, we were wrong. Apparently, the entire world thinks E.T. is a good movie. We thought it was a dumb puppet movie with an alien.
There's another one.
What's that?
Black Betty.
By Mountain, right? Wasn't that the band?
By Ram Jam.
Ram Jam, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, with that, that's a jam. That's a great song that everybody knows. But yeah, was that not critically beloved, or was it mocked when it came out? Maybe because it's kind of simple.
Yeah, it's kind of simple, but it was liked. I remember at the roller rink when I was a DJ, I played it 16 times in a row.
All right, here we go. Let's go through. And again, I'm not going to bore you with the entire list. So we're going to do 500 through 490, and then we'll run through. And we don't have much time here. We may run a couple of minutes over. I hope that's all right. You got somewhere to be?
I got to make a phone call, but other than that, no.
All right. Coming in at number 500. This is new to the list because it wasn't around back when the first list was made. Kanye West, Stronger.
Don't know it. I mean, I don't know the title. I probably know it if I hear it.
It only make me stronger. But it's the one with the Klondike bar.
I got it. Yes.
Let's get lost tonight. You could be my Black K Moss tonight.
Yes, I got it.
All right, that's coming in at 500. That is the last song on the list. Now, again, there have been tens of thousands of songs. So just because it's 500 doesn't mean, that's an honor. It is an honor to be on this list, man. That means that it must have made all of the lists of the 250 people for it to just,
that is actually one of the Kanye songs I know. He has so many of them that I don't know.
Yeah. Boy, I'll tell you, that Stronger song, that's on my run tape, my run mix. When I go out to run, that's a cool song to where that's a hype song. That beat and the rhymes are so funny in that song. Like, he talks about a Klondike bar. I mean, Kanye West has a way with words. Whatever you think of him, that dude's a poet. That dude can really put words together. Coming in at 499, one better than Kanye's Stronger, The Supremes, Baby Love.
Baby Love. Yeah.
No, you did the same thing that I did. You went, baby, baby, right? No, that's Where Did Our Love Go? What is Baby Love? Hold on.
Oh, it's Baby Love.
Yeah, well, hold on. My baby love, my baby.
That's what I did?
Yeah, that's about as much as we're allowed to play without getting in trouble. So I'm going to do that a couple of times, just so if we don't know the song.
It's like name that tune in 2 notes.
498 on the list of the 500 greatest songs, Townes Van Zandt, Poncho and Lefty. Not a clue. I know who Townes Van Zandt is because I'm a big fan of music documentaries, and I know that he is considered a god of a songwriter. I mean, everybody from David Crosby to Neil Young to all of these people back, Jackson Browne, all of the Glenn Frey. I believe he was Glenn Frey's early writing partner before the Eagles. Anyway, yeah, Townes Van Zandt is a dude. Apparently, he had a song in 1972 called Poncho and Lefty. Hold on, let me see if I remember it.
Poncho's abandoned voice. His horse was fast as
Too many notes.
Yep, we're done with that one. I think we get 30 seconds or 15 seconds or something.
15,
anyway,
I think.
Doesn't matter.
Or 10.
All right, coming in at 497. So I didn't know 498. 497. Here's another one, a new one. Lizzo, Truth Hurts. Do you know this song?
I know Lizzo.
Yeah, I don't know this song. I didn't listen to it, but if I do know it, it's because I heard it playing while I was pumping gas or something. That's. Oh, here comes Ed. Ed's gonna give us. Let's see, what is Ed gonna say? Willie Nelson's version of Poncho and Lefty. Okay, so I guess Willie Nelson had a bigger.
I was gonna say that sounded like Willie Nelson.
Yeah. All right, so here comes. This is Lizzo, Truth Hurts.
Oh, what a man! Isn't this Where's a Man When You Need One?
Let's see.
Yeah.
I don't know that song.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not a big bottle service guy like you, so I haven't been to a club in a while.
That's the one. Truth Hurts. Yeah, it's right. You can't find a guy when he's supposed to be a guy.
Okay, now this is a jam. I love this song. If you are depressive like me, this is a freaking anthem. Nilsson, Without You.
Okay.
Do you know that one off the top of your head?
I'm not good with the titles, but I'll recognize it.
Without playing it, let me demonstrate it for you. I can't live if living is without you.
Okay, I know that one.
That's a great song, man. That is Harry Nilsson, John Lennon's best friend. Not really a top of the charts guy, but that's a good song. All right. 495, another great song. One of the most discussed songs of all time. 495, Carly Simon's "You're So Vain."
Know that one?
Yeah.
Now, bet you think this song is a bang.
Yeah, "You're So Vain." It's that song is widely discussed. I believe there was an auction recently. Like, people always wanted to know who that song was about because Carly Simon, wrote about real life stuff. And for years it was, that song's about Mick Jagger. That song's about Warren Beatty. I think it's Mick Jagger because she was linked briefly to Mick Jagger when she was young, and there were stories that Mick did her dirty, like he just did a one night stand and then threw her aside, and that caused a problem between James Taylor and Mick Jagger. Anyway, there was a lot of investigation into who the "You're So Vain." But there's a line in "You're So Vain" that doesn't seem Warren Beatty, but seems very Mick Jagger. It's the you walked into the party like you were walking aboard a yacht. Your something. Your scarf was apricot. I mean, it was like I see Mick being very
right.
And then there's another line where it says you jet off somewhere with the wife of a close friend, like he's running around with it just seemed very Mick Jaggery. But a couple of years ago, for some, I want to say it was Hurricane Sandy relief, Carly Simon auctioned off the secret to "You're So Vain" to anyone who wanted to pay the most for it. And the way it was revealed was Carly Simon came up to the winner and whispered in his ear who it was about. And then part of the deal was she would tell him, but if she was ever confronted about it, like if that guy ever went around and started talking about it, she would say, nope, that's not that. Like, she wouldn't confirm it, but she would be honest and she would tell him. So really what it was, you just got to have Carly Simon whisper in your ear if you were a big Carly Simon fan. But isn't that a great auction? I mean, that's a fun auction item.
Yeah, if you don't know.
And if you're a person of that age, and Carly Simon is huge to you because she truly was massively huge back in, the 70s. Number 494 on Rolling Stone's list of the 500 greatest songs of all time. Oh, this is such a great song. Although I would say that I prefer the Rob Hyman and Hooters version of this song. Remember the Hooters? And we danced like a wave on the ocean, romance. Okay, Hooters were a great band, but Rob Hyman, the writer of the Hooters, was a great songwriter. And he had his biggest hit with Cyndi Lauper's "Time After Time." That's a great song. That's a good song. And it's even better when it's sung by Rob Hyman and the Hooters.
I'm having trouble having a remake be on the list without the original.
What's the remake that's being?
Well, if you're remaking a song like the...
Oh, no, it's not a remake. He was a songwriter, and Cyndi Lauper, her record company,
No. The one that we did before, the Poncho song.
Oh, so you have a problem with the original being credited before the one that got to be the bigger hit?
Yeah, well, I think
no. The credible way to do it is the original, the person who wrote it. If the song
that's
is
my
great,
point.
yeah.
The original needs to be on the list. If you've remade the original and you're making the 500 list, then we got to find the original somewhere deeper.
Well, no, because the original is the one that's on the list at 498. The original written by Townes Van Zandt is 498. So you would think that you would want the more popular Willie Nelson version ranked higher than the guy who wrote it and performed it originally?
Oh, I thought I had it wrong. I thought
No.
Willie did the first.
Yeah, no, Willie had a hit with a cover of it. The cover version that Willie made is the one that we might know more, off the bat. All right, that's 494. Cyndi Lauper's Time After Time. It's a great song regardless. Now you're into my Gen X wheelhouse right here. 1988's coming in at 493. The Pixies, Where Is My Mind? Ugh. All right. So are you familiar with this one? I don't know if you were really a Pixies fan back in you were probably, yeah, no. So here, this song has one of the coolest guitar sounds. Maybe you'll recognize it when you hear it. Here, the Pixies, Where's My Mind? 493. Okay, yeah. That guitar sound is iconic. That's such a cool noise.
That, sure.
It's cool. It's been in a lot of movies. It's pretty iconic. You might, even if you're not a Pixies fan, you'd go, "Oh yeah, that was a song they were playing in Dumb and Dumber when they were," or whatever. 492 is Miles Davis. So What? I wish I knew about Miles. I know he's supposed to be really awesome, but let's give a listen. 492, Miles Davis, So What? There we go. Of course. Yes. It's elevator music, but I knew it immediately. I didn't know it was Miles Davis. I just know that song I've heard millions of places, and in all the years of working in radio, we know a lot of Miles Davis was an instrumentalist. So there you go. 491. Are you ready for this one? And I would put this one higher. I really would have put this one higher. I'm glad it's on the list, but again, I'm Gen X, so this is a pretty big one for me. 1987's Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle.
Oh, for sure higher.
That's an all-time banger, man. That is one of the few songs, Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit being another, but this Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle is one of the few songs in my lifetime. I have a rule that I need to listen to a song at least 2 or 3 times before I like it. Welcome to the Jungle was the first time I heard that on the radio. I went, whoa, this is cool. This is something I like.
Yeah. If it's that low on the list, I just don't think it's doing it justice, because you're not going to be able to quickly recognize the other 488.
No, I think that if that's coming in at 491, all of the ones as we move up to number 1 should be very recognizable.
Right, but there's no way.
Here's what I'm interested in. Where is Sweet Child of Mine? Because I think of that as being the quintessential Guns N' Roses. So Welcome to the Jungle might be my favorite. Nah, it's not my favorite. I like Mr. Brownstone a lot. I love Patience. I think Patience is a beautiful song. But Sweet Child of Mine with that, Slash's weird guitar opening, that's iconic. That is, whether you like them or not, that guitar riff that Slash came up with maybe it was Izzy. Pretty sure it's Slash. It's Slash. That's incredible. All right, so Guns N' Roses. So here now we're going to end up with the bottom 10, 500 to 490 before we jump to the top 10. The song is 2 years old, and it was certainly huge. Lil Nas X, Old Town Road, comes in at 490 on the Rolling Stone list of the 500 greatest songs ever.
Nah. Too soon.
Too soon?
Yeah.
It was a phenomenon. I mean, it's definitely the song of the summer of 2018.
I agree, but I think it's too soon to have it on the list of the top 500.
on a tractor.
There you go. I mean, it crossed over.
It did cross over. It did combine artists that you never thought. I mean, I guess for Billy Ray
Cyrus.
Right. I'm saying, I guess for the Billy Ray tie, you could, yeah. I mean, it gets more cred than anything else that's 2 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. All right, so here we go. So now let's go to the top 10. Okay, so we've heard what is 500 to 490. I'll also say about that Old Town Road song, it is the first song that my son truly loved that was of his generation, because all the songs that he liked before that were songs that, I mean, I got him into The Who, I got him into Nirvana, I got him into the Clash and Ramones. So that was all the stuff that he really liked when he was forced to drive around with me on long road trips. We'd go through the entire Clash. And, hey, can we play that one again? Play London Calling again. I'm like, okay. So I felt I laid a nice base. Old Town Road was the first song. I remember we were at the Wisconsin Dells that summer, and we were in the car, and it came on, and he's like, Dad, you got to hear this. And I hadn't really been aware of it. He knew all the words. He was all like, okay, this is you, buddy. You go. Not my thing, but it's your thing. I love it.
Yeah, I think you're gutting this list by going from 10 to 1. I think you should go from 30 to 20 and leave the top 20 for us to decide.
Well, maybe should we revisit? Look, number 10. Number 10 is going to get us into maybe an argument from you, not from me. This is, I don't know. I would have to sit and really think about what my 10 best songs of all time is. But if somebody said, hey, what about this one? I would go, okay, let me think about that, because this is an all-time jam. And it also coincides with, a time in my life when I was having a lot of fun. 2003's Outkast, Hey Ya, comes in at number 10, the 10th greatest song ever written, according to these industry professionals. Another one that certainly wasn't on the list back when it first came out. Not feeling it?
Oh, I thought you were going to play it. I know the song. No.
Really?
Not in the top 10 of all time.
Really?
No.
Really?
I would say maybe in the top 100.
Okay. All right. Number 9. Here's one that's speaking to our childhoods. Number 9 on the list is Fleetwood Mac's Dreams.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it was on the Rumors album.
Yep. Now there you go again, you say you're not. Stevie Nicks is a goddamn icon. She's I'm so Stevie Nicks has been rediscovered by young women, especially the Billie Eilish types and all of that. And thank God, because Stevie Nicks was incredible.
Right, like who didn't have the Rumors album?
I didn't have it, but it was because I was 77. I was 8 years old, and my mom didn't have it, even though my mom, maybe my mom did. I don't know, but it was everywhere. You had to,
the white cover.
Yeah, with Mick Fleetwood and I'm being a dick because I'm staring at the cover. I was just going to pretend like I was remembering it. Yes, white cover. Stevie Nicks and Mick Fleetwood are holding hands. Boy, that was a band that was as huge as they come. I've never seen Fleetwood Mac. I would like to see now at this accelerated age. I have a newfound appreciation for them, especially for Stevie Nicks. You know what? I'm fine. I'll just see Stevie Nicks. I don't need to see the whole band.
Well, and then she hooked up with Don Henley, and they started doing their duets.
Well, that's the thing. That's she hooked up with she did duets with everybody. She did Tom Petty. She did Glenn Frey. She did Jackson Browne. I mean, she had hit after hit after hit with other big art. Between 1980 and 1989, there were few people that were bigger rock stars than Stevie Nicks. There was Stevie Nicks and Madonna. It's like they were the two.
And Cyndi Lauper.
Oh, what's that song? She has a song that is so good. I don't know who she duetted it with, but it's whenever I call you friend, I'm in heaven. That song is a jam. Musically, that is a jam. The bass line in that is just so awesome. You're not as big of a music dork as I am, so
I don't remember that. I thought that was Carly Simon that had the.
No, it was Stevie Nicks and anywhere you are, Kenny Loggins. It was Stevie Nicks and Kenny Loggins. Look at the best of me, forever and ever. Number 8 on the list, Missy Elliott. You're not gonna like this either, but this is another iconic song, man. Missy Elliott, Get Your Freak On. The minute you hear it, you're gonna be, oh yeah, that song was absolutely everywhere in 2001. Well, I think that's it. I don't want to embarrass myself. Hold on.
I just don't see it in the top.
People sing
Yeah.
around. Now people gather around.
Yes.
Now people jump
Yes.
around. Get your freak on. Get your freak on.
I love that song. That song, come on, man. 2001, you and I were hitting the clubs together. Well, or at least in that era. You walk into a club and that's playing. Come on. If we made a movie about our early aught life together, that song would definitely be on the soundtrack. In our poor man's version of Entourage that we tried to pull off back in the early 2000s. We were douchey.
My, that was awful.
Me, you, Aaron, whoever, Francis.
Francis. Ay.
All right, number 7. Now, this is interesting. The number 7 song would probably made number 1 on a bunch of people's lists. Number 7, The Beatles, Strawberry Fields Forever.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've got better songs than this one.
I do too. Yeah, I'm a Beatle head. But yeah, that wouldn't be. But it was a huge song.
Yeah, but if it's at 7 and we think they've got better songs than that one, then that would mean essentially the Beatles could possibly run the table from 6 on out.
Well, let me put it to you this way. They don't.
Well, I know they don't, but that's what I'm saying. I that's why this list is starting to get me.
Yeah, I don't know what would be the Beatles. I mean, I know what my favorite Beatles song is A Day in the Life, but that wouldn't be the greatest. I mean, I also like Revolution a lot. Anyway,
Here Comes the Sun.
Yeah. Was that Beatles? Yeah, that was Beatles, not just George solo. Number 6. Here's a good one. Now this one was so impactful in its time. I mean, not for us. Not for a bunch of white kids growing up in the suburbs, but for black people in the 70s experiencing what they were going on. Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. That's number 6.
I think Marvin Gaye deserves to be in there somewhere.
I got no complaints here.
What's going on?
Don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on.
10 seconds exactly. I'm watching the timer and I'm like, oh, come on, get to the title within 10 seconds, please. All right. Marvin Gaye. Now this is the top 5. Here we go. These are the big hitters. And I'll tell you what, I won't even tell you. We'll just play them. All right. Because these ones are all going to be recognizable. Number 5.
Okay.
Ten seconds. There you
go.
Belongs to be there in most lists that I see. That's always in the top 3. It's always like 1, 2, or 3. I guess it's depending on who's making the list. But that song changed the entire music industry. Well, It Smells Like Teen Spirit came out. The song that it replaced at number 1 on the charts was Ace of Base. I mean,
I was going to say that song created a whole genre
of
music.
It changed the way, it forced the music company people to move away from the New Kids on the Block, Milli Vanilli, and then just completely relying on Michael Jackson putting on an album a couple of years and actually go out and find garage bands, because that was proof that there was an entire new generation that was tired of that kind of pre-produced studio garbage and so that when this song came out, it blew the doors off the record industry. It changed music. So Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit comes in at number 5. Number 4, All right, we'll play him. We'll just play him for you. You tell me if you recognize this one. The number 4 song of all time, according to Rolling Stone. This one is aptly titled.
I'm so proud about having to be scrounging. You're next meal. How does it feel?
There you go.
I disagree.
Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone, the song that the magazine is named after, comes in at number 4.
I think Dylan needs to be on the list to be at number 4. I don't think so. I disagree.
Can I just have a moment here to... Who's calling me? Somebody who thinks...
Bob Dylan's son from the Wallflowers?
No. Oh, I love the Wallflowers too. I love Jacob Dylan. Anyway, I have tried at numerous times in my life to get into Bob Dylan. Just because I felt I work in music, I work in radio, I should probably know what all of these people are. Not a fan. He never. There is like a 4-hour Bob Dylan music documentary that's on Amazon Prime that I have spent the last 10 years trying to watch, and I can't get through more than 10 minutes of it.
That ought to tell you something.
I'm like, this dude is a snooze. This guy is not interesting at all. I mean, okay, I get that this is just one that missed me, and that's fine. That's my failing. Because I'm obviously wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong, because the entire world seems to think that he's the greatest thing ever, and I'm not getting it. So I apologize, but that's just me. You're not wrong. I am. All right. Here's number 3. Now, these are the big 3, according to Rolling Stone. The top 3 greatest songs of all time.
It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. I don't know what's up there.
Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come from 1964 makes number 3 on the Rolling Stone list. Sam Cooke is another guy that is considered an icon, died way too soon. I'm not that familiar with him, but I'm familiar with that movie. Seems like at some point it's been used in every Steven Spielberg movie or something. You know what I mean? I'm not all that familiar.
I'm starting to feel like a theme with these top 10 songs.
What's that
like
theme
somewhat motivational. Things are going to get better. Change is on the horizon.
Well, what I think they're awarding extra points to are songs that sought or actually achieved some form of social change or social influence, right? I mean, they're like, these are not disposable, silly songs, starting with Marvin Gaye's What's Going On, which was about the Vietnam War and Black Americans being used as disposable lighters, being sent off to war, and all of that. So,
and then we got Missy Elliott at 9.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, but that's a banger, man. That one's just on for pure banger ability. Number 2, you might be onto something with what you just suggested. The number 2 song wasn't on the list before. Well, here, see if you recognize this one.
You've got mail.
Another summer. Sound of the funky drummer. Music hitting your heart, cause I know you got soul. Hey, listen if you're missing, y'all. Swinging while I'm singing. Giving what you're getting. Knowing what I know in.
All right. Wait a couple seconds. And back.
While the black band's sweating. In the rhythm I'm rolling. Gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Our freedom of speech.
Come back in 20, another 17 years and make this list. That song is not anywhere near the top 100.
All right, so that's the one. That's your take. And my take is that was the first 1989's Public Enemy Fight the Power. First hip-hop song I ever liked. That was the first hip hop song that I, as a white kid raised in the suburbs in the south side of Chicago, that was the first hip hop song where I went, oh, that's cool. Now, of course, I was first exposed to it at a frat party with a bunch of white guys wearing backwards baseball caps, but that song's pretty impactful. That was a song. See, we were talking, gangster rap was starting to become a thing, kill the police and, all of that kind of stuff. And
NWA.
Yeah, NWA was West Coast, but Public Enemy was East Coast. Public Enemy wasn't about, let's talk shit on the cops. Let's talk shit about street life. Public Enemy was about, hey, black brothers and sisters, let's buy guns and take this country back. I mean, it was revolutionary as opposed to just being tales of ghetto life. You know what I mean? They had a dude, like the members of this band, they all had like the Minister of Information, and he came out in like a uniform, like a military uniform, and you had Professor Griff saying all kinds of insane stuff like, we must kill all the white men. I mean, this was Malcolm X to the hardest extent. This was scary music, which is why it's funny that a bunch of white kids at a frat party in DeKalb, Illinois in 1989 are like loving it. Hey, these guys are going to kill us. What? They're going to come and they're going to kill us all. They hate us. Dad, this song jams. I mean, that's basically what was going on.
I remember the song. I like the song, but I don't think it has any business as high as it is.
Well, let's see here. Because you're right. Now, it's getting controversial as we get here. Chuck D once likened Fight the Power to Pete Seeger singing We Shall Overcome. Fight the Power, he said, points to the legacy and the strengths of standing up in music. Filmmaker Spike Lee had originally asked Public Enemy to write an anthem for Do the Right Thing, a movie about confronting white supremacy, so Chuck and the group's producers, the Bomb Squad, took inspiration from the Isley Brothers' funky Fight the Power and used the title as a blueprint for a whole new war cry. Yeah, it was a scary war cry, and none of us white kids got it at the time. We were just like, yeah, these black guys seem cool. Yeah. Oops. Here you go. Suburbia. Number one. I don't even have to say number one, and we'll end the show on this. We went a little bit long. Here's the number one song of all time as judged by Rolling Stone.
No. No.
Let me just say this. Been trying to play devil's advocate on a lot of these. Piss off with that song, man. Are you kidding me? It's a fine song. There's nothing
It belongs on the list, but not number one.
Who is pandering? This is just pandering. This is like
the whole top 10 was pandering. They're like themed really songs.
Ugh. Not the whole top 10. Missy Elliott wasn't pandering. That's just a banger. Boom, 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 boom. No, come on. And Hey Ya isn't pandering. Hey Ya is just another song that's just great. But yes, you're right. The top 5 or 6, here, we'll roll back through them. Number 1 is Aretha Franklin's Respect. Number 2 is Public Enemy's Fight the Power. Number 3 is Sam Cooke's A Change Is Gonna Come. Yes, those are all seem to be pandering to a certain, they're trying to make up for 100 years of snubs by shoehorning in songs that are great songs. Number 4 is Bob Dylan's Like a Rolling Stone. Nirvana Smells Like Teen Spirit. That's not pandering. That's just a jam. That changed music. And really, Smells Like Teen Spirit didn't have any message about how, hey, we need to be nicer to our brothers. Smells Like Teen Spirit was just about being 19 years old in 1990 and hating your opportunities. That's all that song was about.
How the Rolling Stones don't have one song in that top 10 tells me that list is just bullcrap.
Well, okay. Well, since you said that, let's see, because the Rolling Stones actually do have a song that just fall outside the top 10. Do you have a guess on which Rolling Stone song would be the highest ranked?
I would think Sympathy for the Devil would be one. I mean, you heard that song in just about every Vietnam movie that's ever made.
Right.
I mean, if you're talking about a time period and our battle cry,
Now, I don't know. I do not know if this is the lone Rolling Stone song. I can't imagine that on a list of 500 songs, this would be the lone Rolling Stones contribution, but this is the highest ranking one, comes in at number 13. Gimme Shelter is my favorite Rolling Stones song.
Yeah, so I would trade that with Sympathy for the Devil.
And I would think Sympathy for the Devil being another one of my favorite Rolling Stone songs. I would think that might be another one. So the songs that just missed the list, just quick, we won't even have to go through them. Number 15 on the list, The Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand. Number 14 on the list, The Kinks, Waterloo Sunset. I got to hear that because I don't know that song offhand. Do you know the song Waterloo Sunset?
I don't know the title. I'm sure we're going to recognize it when we hear the song.
As long as I gaze on Waterloo Sunset, I am in paradise.
Screw that nonsense. I've never heard that. I've worked in radio for I don't know that song. Right now, there's a 70-year-old screaming at me, "Oh, that song's a banger."
This list is crap.
All right, so then number 13 is Rolling Stones' Gimme Shelter. Number 12 is another great one, Stevie Wonder's Superstition. That's a great song. That belongs on the list. We can debate if it belongs in the top 20, but it's a great song. Number 11, my favorite Beach Boys song, God Only Knows. What a great... Deserves a little... Do you know this song?
I don't know. Beach Boys is the first concert I ever went to. That's no way the best Beach Boys song.
God only knows what I'd be without.
Look, I'm a recent, within the last 20 years, convert to the Brian Wilson era works of the Beach Boys. They became, in my opinion, a bit of a clown show post Brian's breakdown when he left the band. That is a deep song, man. That song will make you find your faith again. God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. That is a great song.
But you think that's their best offering?
It's my favorite Beach Boys song. Yeah, best. That's, what is best? Best is relative to the person listening to it. It's my favorite Beach Boys song. Absolutely. That song's beautiful. All right, so that's number 11.
The fact that you describe it as beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful song.
Tells me it's not their best song.
Well, what's their best song? Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah. No, man. They got a lot of silly disposable pop until Brian Wilson started doing drugs, and then that dude's genius was uncorked in the studio, and they start, that's Phil Spector, which, hindsight tells us
hindsight
something. But he's still a genius producer, one of the creator of the Wall of Sound. That was his whole... Anyway, that's the list. There you go. Okay, we're done. We're going to be back at 10 o'clock tonight. We went a half hour late for you because we wanted to get into this. Maybe we'll poke through some more of these songs later tonight. We'll maybe even get into the top 100 people on the planet, which is, something that Time Magazine put out today. Quickly, before we leave here, let me see if there is anything big that's new and trending that I missed. It doesn't look like it. Kyrie is trending. Well, what did Kyrie Irving do now? Isn't he the guy who thinks the world is flat? Isn't that him? Dinosaurs didn't exist, and the world is flat. And now we've got that. Okay. Anything new trending?
Nothing. We'll handle it tonight.
Nothing. There's nothing. Yeah. Whole bunch of there's nothing. Just it's all about the stuff we covered already. All right. Thank you, folks. We will see you tomorrow. Tonight at 10 o'clock for the Pillow Talk edition. We're going to try and have James Parker on with us. So we'll do a 3-man round robin thing. You cannot wait to get out of here. Look at you. Just leave. I don't need you. I did this show. What are you getting? Important phone?
Remember I told you I got a phone call I got to make.
Okay, get out of here. All right, we're done. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you back here at 10 o'clock. Pillow Talk with me, Pugs Moran. He's E, the artist, and we're on the Radio Misfits Network. See you at 10. Bye.